right now.
Yeah! Little combo plate action.
Come on.
Not that I've been looking
Come on.
forward to it. Not that when Emily told me yesterday I wasn't skipping up and down
Sure.
the halls. It's a little combo plate.
She
Slee.
broke down kind of what the day looks like for us. I'm like, that's it?
Yeah,
That's
it's
all we have? What do
the
you mean?
dump's coming up next.
Yeah.
I got that coming.
We got picks.
In just a little bit. We got the pick. We didn't do picks this week.
What do you mean I won this week?
Yes, you probably would have.
I got
Yeah,
the
you probably
list.
would
but we
have.
didn't
I got
do
the
it.
list.
Are you,
Yeah.
are you
yeah,
still
right.
alive in your Survivor pool?
Still okay. So yes, but I have a game. I'm the Monday Night Football game.
Oh, you're tonight.
I'm tonight.
You've got Vikings.
I got Vikings.
Okay.
Yeah. You know what's funny? I thought I picked it very early. So I think Tuesday last week is when I picked it, and just forgot what I picked. I thought I had.
That's the most Sliwa thing ever.
I thought I had Titans and Panthers. I thought I had that game. So I was kind of keeping an eye over there. I'm like, what's going on? Then I went on. I wanted to see everybody else's picks, thinking maybe Philly's going to lose.
Who cares about the Titans and Panthers?
And I'm like, no, I don't got it. So I'm still alive technically until tonight.
All right. Well, no, they should win.
Keep
in
going.
their favor. Is
Keep
it in
this engine
Minnesota or
going.
Chicago?
Minnesota.
Okay, you're in pretty good shape.
And I think I've picked against Chicago like 6 weeks so far this year, so I got to keep that streak going.
Chicago took me out last year when they beat. I think they beat the Commanders, or they beat somebody that they weren't supposed to beat. But anyway, that's how it goes. How was everybody's Thanksgiving? Everybody have a good trip? Em, you made it there and back in one piece.
Yeah, they're back one piece. I had some interesting flight stories both sides. So
Oh, okay.
It's
That was
impossible
fun.
not to have interesting flight stories around Thanksgiving, right?
We know about the older woman that you had on your way
Alan
out.
doesn't know, but
Oh,
there was
okay.
a woman on my flight there to Virginia who is an older woman, and she sat next to me, and she had a charcuterie board with her as her only carry-on. Well, she had her laptop, her iPad.
No charcuterie on it, just the board.
Yeah, just a big, large cutting
Like it
board.
didn't have pieces of salami and
I
and dried
literally thought in
apricots.
my head where you were taking like some
Cheese
crackers,
and,
little cheese,
grapes. Yeah,
couple raisins, not
sounds
raisins,
great.
cranberries.
And she
Sounds like
wouldn't
a
share.
good charcuterie
But
board you're
it
putting
was
together over there.
just the cutting board that she decided that she had to bring
Yeah, she
from
had to
LA
take
to
An
Washington.
emotional support cutting board.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But on my way back, I was on a huge flight. I was on like one of those like 10 across flights. So we were all packed in there. And
Let's go to Europe.
yeah. It was also a straight shot, so it was straight from Washington to LAX. And so, I was watching all my movies, and I just, I was glancing around the plane. The guy next to me literally could not have been watching the more opposite things than I was. Like, I just could tell that me and him would have had a heated discussion that
I
we
was going
both
to
would have
say,
hated
you
each other.
probably just let it go and didn't give it a second thought, right? It didn't
yeah,
probably bother
totally
you the entire
ran
time.
off
Turned
my
off
back.
his TV. she leaned over and said, "I'm sorry."
I'd be like, excuse
I can't
me,
do this.
do you know what you're watching is bad?
Your reaction was, live and let live.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. No, it was not that.
That is-
I
that
did not
is-
say anything to him, though.
That is a little awkward when
Yeah.
somebody's watching. I'm like, what is this? Cinemax After Dark?
Well,
like,
okay,
It
so
wasn't that
relax here.
necessarily.
I was flying back when I was commuting back and forth
Kids
from
on this
Houston to
plane.
LA. And I was it was the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo movie.
Yeah.
Okay. But it was the Swedish version of it,
Okay.
right? And I had read the book and I knew, but I'm thinking, okay, whatever. So all of a sudden that scene pops up and I couldn't close my laptop fast enough. Like you can't
That sounds
have that
right.
in a public
I
area.
agree.
You need like, oh, okay, I will start reading my book again because this is not
Or just fast forward. Yeah.
But even then it's
So
and
you were
can
watching
kinda-
on your laptop, not on any of their
No, on my
screens.
laptop. And I tried to angle it, but you can't angle it
No,
enough
yeah.
to still watch it and prevent everybody from seeing
Well,
what
that's
you're
the thing I was going to say, because when somebody's watching one of those movies and it's on the screen on the back of,
Yep.
there's 6 people that can see that screen.
Yeah.
Right? You got like
Yeah.
2 to your right, 2 to your left. You got, at least yours was a personal laptop there.
So when I was walking on the plane, I was one of the last groups
Walking
aboard.
here.
Yeah, I'm walking here. That's me and Tommy DeVito. But I was one of the last groups aboard the plane, and so I only have my backpack with me because I checked my other bag. And so I was going to put the backpack up on the top because it's usually smaller and there's usually space. And so I look in the one, and the one above me, someone had turned their suitcase instead of like the normal way you put wheels first. He decided to take up the entirety of it by putting it on his side. So fine, I didn't move his. I put mine over another
I'm
place.
moving his. Yeah,
So
I'm adjusting. I'm doing
Right.
the quick adjust, move it back. Yep.
So, but I had no idea who that was because they had boarded before me. So this guy, though, next to me, he decides to put on a comedy special of someone I detest. And so I saw, okay, checkbox, one thing that I don't care for. Then he was watching this Netflix series on how to become a mob boss, and I was like, that's an interesting choice again to watch on a plane.
Not against that one.
I am against that one.
Sounds a little interesting.
And then the last thing, he was scrolling watches and then also Instagram models on his phone.
I
which
don't
again,
know anything about this guy, but I know exactly the type of guy you're talking about.
And let's just say they were probably the Cinemax version of those Instagram models.
Oh, yeah.
What are we doing?
And
here?
I was like, this is a flame. And I can see it clearly on your phone. And then, then we get up to leave. One, he immediately takes the entire aisle when it's time to stand, which of course he did. And then he was the one who put
Can I have one quick question about the
in.
immediate aisle stander? Because it sounds like you're at the back of the plane.
I
right?
was in the middle of the plane.
Middle of the plane. Okay. But even if you're in the middle, especially a plane that big, it's going to take 10 or 12 minutes for people to start getting off the plane.
Then I'm opening the doors for a couple of minutes.
Might take 20.
Yeah.
But time you're actually able to move out. Was the watch comedian, Instagram model, mob boss wannabe guy, was he tall?
No.
Okay.
Which also adds to all of this story about him.
That does add a little depth.
Kind of why he probably watches those things.
Here's the thing. I fancy myself somebody that's pretty good with airplane etiquette. I don't take up the aisle. I mind my own business. I don't play something. I do all the things that I think I would like people to do.
Yes.
I don't mind. The second that plane lands, though, I need to stand up because I've been pinned in this little seat for such a long time.
There's a difference.
I need to stand up and just stretch my legs
I was
a little
going to say,
bit.
you're not standing thinking that you're shooting past everybody
I
else.
just
You're
have to
not
stand
standing
up.
to get your luggage out and then sit there and wait and asking people to move so you can put your luggage down.
No.
You're standing to literally stretch your legs.
I just need to not be in a seated position anymore, especially a flight from D.C. That's a 5+ hour flight.
Yeah, it was 5 hours.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I need to stand up and stretch my legs. But if Danny DeVito here doesn't need to stand up,
But also the
same
movies that I watched on my flight were Barbie, and then It's Complicated, the Nancy Meyers about Santa Barbara, and then Booksmart. So again, me and him have very different styles of movies.
let me ask you this,
Pretty
Al.
funny.
Who do you think disliked the other more, him, her, or her, him?
I really can't tell. I hate my choices,
Am
especially Barbie.
I right or wrong? He had no idea what you were watching?
I have no idea. Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't. I was
Maybe he's telling the
internalizing it.
same story right now.
This
On his
woman
own podcast, 'cause of course he has a
Barbie
podcast.
and then a Nancy Meyers movie. I couldn't believe it.
Women, am I right?
We've gone 8 minutes, and I hate that you have yet to tell us how successful or unsuccessful your Thanksgiving dinner was, Thanksgiving lunch, whatever time you guys did it. You had a lot of work on your hands.
I did.
It was on
You had
Instagram. I saw the photo. It looked nice.
You had a lot to prepare for. Can you get us kind of behind the scenes a little bit here?
Yes, and you know that I'm happy to talk about my food prep as long as you want me to do it. It was a success, and I don't say that immodestly. Mm-hmm. It was a success. We fed 20 people on time. All the food was good. All the food was hot. All the food hit the table at the same time. The table that Susan set was beautiful. My mom and dad, my brother and his wife, and my niece were there. My Aunt Kristen and her extended family were there. It was great. It was really, really good, and the food turned out really well. My mom.
Were you surprised? Like what?
No,
what is?
because like I don't think you were here. I think it was with the day Andy was here. Like I was trying to describe this to Andy how this was going to work, and he's like, "Oh, is it like a LeBron and AD situation?" I said, "No, it's like a LeBron and a Rui situation." My mom is LeBron here, and my mom performed at a LeBron level. She did most of the hard things, and I was just there to do what needs.
We're
to get
hoping
done.
it was like one of those games, a playoff game from Rui, that we can sit back and say, "Hey, he delivered."
I gave a Rui playoff level performance.
I like
my
the
bar
comps.
was set up beautifully. My coolers were all three of them.
That's going to happen.
Three
Yeah, the
coolers set
are
up,
good.
all of them packed perfectly. I got to make sure everybody had what they wanted. I did the dishes that I did make came out really, really well. We managed our oven times really well. Honestly, and I give my mom 85% of the credit. It came off about as well as I could have hoped. Everybody came on time, left on time. Nobody stayed at the house. It was glorious. I got to drink the perfect amount. I woke up the next day, still felt really good. Started with Emily. turkey trot at 7 o'clock in the
I
morning,
know,
which
you
I
sent
sent.
me the picture.
I couldn't send enough pictures of the turkey trot.
I said
to her.
Happy Thanksgiving to everybody but Turkey Trot family. So my Happy Thanksgiving is not for you.
We had a great time. Got a nice 4 or 5 mile walk in that morning,
Very
watching
nice.
everybody run. Kelly
Very
and
nice.
Michael ran the race. We came home, started drinking mimosas, got all the food done, had a little beer, had a little old fashioned, turned into wine by the end of the
By
night.
the way,
it was just wonderful.
To get a turkey trot in, even though you had that much responsibility going on as the day
That's
went on.
where Wednesday comes in. Wednesday is there's a lot
good
more
work out of
going
you.
on Wednesday. Thursday's just actually cooking it all. We're basically heating a lot of it up. The only thing you have to really cook is the turkey and the mashed potatoes.
So this is
Everything else you
Braun
just
and
warm.
Rui practicing on Wednesday. That the game is just going to be the game.
Yes.
But practice is
You
very
get your
important
work done
on
in
Wednesday.
practice. You
Got it.
show, iron sharpens iron, Slee.
Practice.
It was great. How
Okay,
about you?
I always ask the question because how hot was the food? I figure that's got to be the most difficult thing to do.
It is.
We didn't have a big Thanksgiving this year, but in every other Thanksgiving, we're with like 40, 50 family members, and they're starting to put food out, and we're not going to eat for 20 minutes. So like by the time that goes, I'm like, all right, I got to go get I like my food hot, right?
Sure.
And I get it, I understand. That's got to be like the most difficult
It's arguably
thing
the
to
hardest
time.
part of it. So we had the ham heating up on the grill outside, turn that into a little oven. So
Okay.
we got that going outside. The potatoes and the sweet potatoes and the stuffing were all in the low. We have a double oven. So the lower oven there. The top oven was whatever needed to get done. The turkey comes out about a half hour before you're going to eat because it can sit there and it's going to stay hot. It's 20 pounds of turkey. It's not going to go cold instantly. And then you make the gravy hot enough to melt steel, and that heats up everything else on the plate, right? The gravy is so hot you can barely touch the bowl that holds it, and everything else is kind of good from there. And everybody's had a couple of drinks. It was good. It was good. It was a
That's a
successful
good
day.
point. I love the gravy. The gravy is basically like that's going to drive everything, keep everything else hot.
I
Yeah.
didn't have gravy.
You didn't have gravy?
I didn't have gravy, so I get to my mom's.
Is that a surprise or no?
No, hold on. So I'm like, all right. So we're putting the food on the table, mashed potatoes are there. I'm like, hey, where's the gravy? My mom's like, oh, I didn't make gravy. The mashed potatoes are nice. You don't need gravy. I was like, no, but I want gravy. Yeah, but you don't need it. And I said, okay. And then Brenda's like, hey, so who's working tomorrow? Because I'm hungry and I'm going to work tomorrow. So we wanted to leave early because she had work. And I said, hey, Brenda, maybe you can call out, tell them you got sick from the gravy. Wait, we didn't have any gravy. So my mom was like, can you just stop with this gravy stuff? I didn't make any gravy. We didn't buy any gravy. We didn't have any gravy.
Okay,
We were missing the gravy.
I've met your mother. She's a beautiful, sweet woman, and I don't mean to besmirch her name in any way. What the hell?
That's what I said.
So once a year you have gravy.
Okay,
That's
but
what I said.
is in your if gravy's not at the Sliwa household, that's not a surprise. Like that's not that big of a deal. It's more a surprise if the gravy is there. Is the gravy there every year?
It's been there every year.
Okay,
Except this
that's
year.
different. Yeah.
She was making a stance. She was like,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
done
right.
with gravy. If you
Yeah.
want gravy, you bring your gravy. So next year, Jorge, you bring the gravy.
That fine.
That's
But
okay.
you got to give me a gravy heads up. You can't just I can't walk into a gravy
Need a
free
gravy
environment
heads up.
without a warning.
That's what I'm saying.
Like she needs to say, Jorge, listen, there will not be gravy this year. If you want it, swing by the grocery store and get a can or jar of that
least-
gravy base, and
yeah.
we'll knock it out.
We had it's kind of surprising here, but our Thanksgiving table was probably the most Thanksgiving it's ever been.
Okay.
Like there were actually items that were very
So
Thanksgiving.
you did not have to go to Whole Foods on Friday to scratch your Thanksgiving itch.
They still serving because if they are, I'm not telling you it was perfect. I'm just telling, but it was very because it's my brother. My brother-in-law cooks well. He enjoys cooking, so he made the mashed potatoes, the gravy. He made a green bean casserole.
Nice.
It's like
Green beans, Walter?
what green beans, Walter. My apologies,
course,
there,
of course.
I think somebody on Twitter was telling us that he's like sending us photos of.
I love it.
You've literally changed the name. But I'm like, where am I? Like, I don't even know what's going on. Where are all the Middle Eastern dishes? Now, granted, there's a turkey, and then there's a yellow and a white rice, and there's also kadi, which I think I've told you before.
Sounds great.
Curry with beef and potatoes.
Wonderful.
Mix all these things together, get it all in there.
That sounds great. Everybody wins except for Jorge,
I
who
know, like, what
had his
gravy?
gravy a bit.
So my mom says, take some of the juice from the
The pan.
turkey pan and put on your mashed potatoes if you want. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Which and it's not a bad idea, but I think you're gonna have to moving forward. You're gonna have to be responsible just for the
I'm gonna-
gravy.
I
Just
wanna
bring the
a
gravy.
can, bro, at
I
least.
think you guys are going to assume I'm kidding when I tell you this, and I'm not. This is going to bother me for a long time. that you had a gravyless Thanksgiving is going to be. It's not going to be at the front of my mind, but it's going to be in the back of my mind for weeks. literally weeks as you get
I believe
closer
you.
to it.
We all believe you.
Okay,
all
good.
of us do.
The Rams have hope. I don't know if it's real hope.
Hell's
or
going
it's
on here?
Arizona Cardinals induced hope, but it's hope nonetheless. That's coming up next. It's Travis Slee, 710 on a gravyless Thanksgiving for Jorge.
I was at Sierra Subaru Monrovia Thanksgiving week, and I think I've talked to everybody about how many different events, how many different promotions they run for the community out there. They have a current toy drive going on right now, so I was able to go down to Target, buy a bunch of different toys. They're going to go to a great cause. Don't miss the 2023 Subaru Share the Love event happening now through January 2nd. After this 16th year of sharing the love, Subaru have donated over $285 million to charity. Visit my good friends over at Sierra Subaru of Monrovia as they are proudly supporting Foothill Unity Center and the Pab Love Foundation during the Subaru Share the Love event. Like I mentioned, they sell beautiful cars. They got wonderful cars. The Subaru brand is amazing. They do so much to help the community, not just in Monrovia, but all through LA. I want to throw you guys the website here. There's ways to get involved. Go to sierrasubaru.com for more information or visit them just off the 210 and 605 freeway. What a great time to give, sierrasubaru.com.
And it is a Michelob Ultra Reaction Monday. What a weekend for our teams. Lakers on Saturday night. Your Monday on 710.
Chris is not wrong. I am feeling pretty good about my Rams. I was particularly optimistic yesterday.
Wait, can we play the sound of you being particularly
please.
optimistic?
Do
I
you
think
have
that
it?
you might like this. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm going to play it for you right now.
Yeah, all right. But if the Rams have a weekend next weekend,
Yep.
like we hope they do against the Cleveland Browns, the Green Bay Packers are on the road in Kansas City. The Seattle Seahawks are on the road in Dallas to take on the Cowboys. If the Rams can take care of their business next weekend at SoFi Stadium against the Cleveland Browns, who lost today, or maybe they're in the process of losing,
No, they lost.
not sure
They
if
lost.
it's
It's
over.
over. Yep, it's over.
DTR hurt. Amari Cooper hurt. The Rams could be in the 7th and final playoff position by this time next week.
Yeah.
exactly right. There's one part I got in there wrong. The game is actually in Lambeau Field. It's not in Kansas City. It's in Green Bay, but
That's
still,
okay. Yeah, they're fine.
that doesn't change much.
They're fine.
Seattle loses to the Cowboys, which is likely. Green Bay loses to Kansas City, which is likely. And if the Rams can find a way to beat the Cleveland Browns, by the way, I mentioned it, DTR got blowed up, right? He got absolutely annihilated. P.J. Walker comes in. Amari Cooper left the game with an injury. Myles Garrett had a sling on his arm after the game, so he's injured as well. Their very best player, at best, is at least nicked up, and potentially worse than that. It's not that they have a path to the playoffs. They could be inside the playoff line as soon as Sunday afternoon.
Okay, I'm not going to get too excited about the Rams, and I'm not trying to pour cold water because I am surprised.
You should have a big bucket of cold water
Well,
next
not yet.
to you because it's a fair bucket to have.
But
right
here's
now.
the thing: they're 5-6, and I think there are a lot of times you can sit back and I can make excuses of why the Rams are 5-6. I can tell you that Arizona is not a good team at all. I can tell you that Geno Smith doesn't get injured at SoFi, that they're not winning that game. But that's what happened. And there's nothing you could do to take away from the Rams of being in a 5-6 spot where now all of a sudden you don't have to have 3 or 4 teams go on some colossal failure. You and I were talking about Seahawks, their schedule. We were talking about just how difficult the schedule.
Lost to the Rams.
Yep.
They lost to the 49ers on Thanksgiving night. They go to Dallas, then they play Philly, and then they play
Frisco.
San Francisco again.
Okay.
So they are looking a 5-game losing streak right in the face.
If you want to expand at all on what's going on with Cleveland and their injuries, sometimes things work against you, sometimes things work for you. And I don't think there's been too many times this year we've looked at the Rams and said, wow, I like the position that they're in. Wow, I like wait, that's kind of going their way. There's another thing over there going their way. So even though I'm not sitting here and completely confident that I think the Browns game this upcoming weekend will pretty much determine whether you got a real shot or not. I mean, technically, if those other teams are losing, then you're still in the mix. But I think you just also have to give credit of they're in the mix.
Yep.
And that's all you can ask for. They're in the mix and 5-6.
But don't forget, back in September, was the date exactly? September 18th. Travis made this call.
The Rams, you ready? The Rams are going to make the playoffs.
Wow.
And everybody laughed
Feeling good
in
about it
Travis's
again.
face.
Feeling good about it again. Okay, here.
They may sneak in.
Can I also pour some cold water a bit too?
You tried yesterday and it didn't work, but go ahead.
So
go ahead.
last time the Rams played the Cardinals, they also beat up on them, like as we mentioned already. But then they follow the game with, okay, we need to win this game against the Steelers, and they don't. Okay, every game against the AFC North this season, we have said this is a game you can steal. They're not that good. Joe Burrow's injured. The Steelers aren't that good. The Browns are injured. And what do? They lose in a heartbreaking fashion because they can't do the thing that they did the week previous.
That is a good bucket of cold water, and it was well delivered. But here, I'm less worried about the Browns than I was because, look, here's the line as of right now. The line's 4.5. The Rams are 4.5 point, which blew me away when I saw it this morning.
And home team gets 3 points.
Well, yeah, if it's a typical home field advantage, which this will not be. This will be mostly Cleveland fans. I expect it to be all orange.
4.5 favorites?
Probably
Rams are
Lindsay
4.5
here.
point favorites. She's going. So it's surprising there. I'm not nearly as worried about whether or not they can take care of business against the Browns. We'll talk about that in a second. The bigger bucket of cold water that I'm worried about is maybe Arizona's just that bad. That's the part, because Kyron Williams looked amazing yesterday. You know the last time he looked amazing? Against Arizona. And then he got hurt and he didn't play again until yesterday. So he's had 2 games to make a holy smoke. That guy is an unbelievable running back. Over 100 yards, over 150 yards on the ground. He scored 2 touchdowns, had 70-some-odd yards through the air. He was terrific.
38 fantasy points.
38 fantasy points. But Arizona's 2-10.
Yeah,
Arizona
you can't gauge.
stinks.
No.
So it's really hard to say that the Rams did look good. Matthew Stafford had his best game of the year. Tyler Higbee got in the end zone. All of these things.
Yeah.
But Arizona's so blank and bad, it's hard to figure out which is which.
Well, I think that's the part where it's lacking for the Rams, and I think that's the part where you kind of you should have your hesitation on them, because if they lost to the Cleveland Browns on Sunday, You're not walking in here on Monday saying, "Oh my God, can you believe they lost?"
No.
Nobody's going to be saying that. I think that they've had some things. Put Arizona. Arizona is a bad team, but the fact I'm going to keep going back to this because when they were 3-6 and you had a game against the Seahawks, you're basically saying like, "Look, the season's over. You're 3-6. This thing is done." There were moments in that game against the Seahawks where while the game was actually playing out, you're like, "Yeah, they're going to get their asses kicked. They're not winning this game." Still don't know how they won the game. Actually, I do. I know Geno Smith got injured, and the backup is as good as me and you. So that's how they won that game. But I think anytime you stay in the mix, momentum can start going your way. A tip ball can go your way. An injury for an opposing team can go your way. I think we're talking less about the Rams with a chance to make the playoffs because the Rams are amazing.
Yeah.
No, you're talking more about the teams in front of them, scenarios, injuries, that it's playing out more because of that than anything else.
So you said that you wouldn't be surprised if they lost to Cleveland. Neither would I. But their season turns on that game on Sunday. If you beat – because here's what has to happen for them to get to 9 wins, okay? You have to beat New Orleans and Washington in SoFi. New Orleans is a Thursday night game. And you have to win on the road in New York in Week 17 against the Giants. You have to win those. There's 3 more wins. That gets you to 8. You need to find a 9th win. You got 3 games left. Cleveland this weekend. At Baltimore the week after that. You're not beating that team.
Yep.
You're sure
Ravens
as you know
always
what,
beat up on the NFC.
not beating them,
No, they're great
2
team.
weeks from now.
Very good
That's
team.
not
Yep.
happening. And then San Francisco, the last game of the season up in San Francisco. And there's a chance San Francisco could still have things to play for. And even if they don't, I don't think that they're looking to give the Rams a break. I think they'll play their guys. I think that they're going to go out there and do what they do. So you have to beat the bad teams, New Orleans, Washington, and the Giants. You have to. You can't afford to lose any of those games, but you also have to win this Sunday because you're not beating Baltimore and you're not beating San Francisco. And I know that's not how the players look at it. I know that's not how the coaching staff looks at it, but your season turns on Sunday. If you beat the Browns, you are not only in it, you're very, very much in it. And if you lose, you're dead in the water.
Minnesota's 6-5, Seattle 6-5, Atlanta's 5-6, Green Bay's 5-6, Rams are 5-6, the Saints are 5-6. That's 6 through 10. So it's not like there's also there's more than that.
Vikings have Detroit twice left still.
Yep.
But I think the point is that there's also spots.
There are.
It's not that
Seattle's going the wrong way.
It's
that
not
spot's going to open up.
Their problem is too not only going the wrong way, and their season might be completely flipped just simply because they lost to the Rams in that game specifically, but they also have really tough games remaining. So the way what are the 3 games that you said they have to win?
New Orleans, Washington, and the Giants.
If you said, "Hey, are the Rams going 3-0 in those 3 games?" I'm going to say no. I'm going to say they're going to lose one of those 3 games.
I don't think that's an unfair read.
However, they're in the mix. And to be 11 weeks in or 12 weeks in, them being in the mix is a much bigger surprise than I think really most of the teams out in the NFL.
Here's the good news. The Rams are 4-1 in their own division. They're taking care of business. Against the teams that they know the best, they're taking care of their business.
And
4-1.
a good team in Seattle.
Goodish, right? We'll give them goodish. They're 1-5 against the rest of the NFL. And they beat Indianapolis.
Yep.
Okay.
And they almost lost Indianapolis.
Yeah, it's an OT game.
And
Probably
Indy's
should have lost.
Indy's okay. I think Indy's probably just above good, just goodish. I think they're Seattle-like.
Yeah.
They're goodish. 1-5 against the rest of the league. And all those games that we're talking about are against the rest of the league.
Yeah.
Cleveland, New Orleans, Washington, Baltimore, San Francisco.
If you'd have told me 2 weeks ago that there was hope, I'd be like, "You're crazy." The fact that there's hope, that's the one thing that you can ask for. Is if you're a fan of your team and you don't have these
They're playing
expectations,
meaningful games in December,
and you don't
which
have
felt like a
expectations to go win the whole
miracle.
thing, I think that's
No doubt.
Also, almost every team they've played is a playoff team. So let's take the Cardinals out and let's take the Bengals out. Bengals for other reasons because of injury. Almost every other team that they've played is a playoff team or almost a playoff team. So they haven't had an easy schedule. The easiest part of their schedule is coming up after the Browns.
You have to beat the Browns. It literally is as simple. If you lose to the Browns, there's almost no path remaining because now you have to beat Baltimore, San Francisco, and that maybe San Francisco if you're being super generous. But I just don't see a win in Baltimore or San Francisco.
Too much optimism, Travis.
Well, look, every once in a while, I like to go to the other side. I'm usually more of a
throwing us all off, to be honest with you.
Look, hey. It may be over as
A
soon
lot
as
of
Sunday.
listeners.
If they win on
the
Sunday, do
side
you
of
know
the
how
road.
insufferable I'm going to be the following Monday with playing that the Rams are going to make
If
the
Rams are
playoffs?
6-6 through 12, then you could be as insufferable as you need to be.
Pretty remarkable. The Chargers are not 6-6. The Chargers lose again. We'll get into that coming up in just a little bit. But coming up next, M's College Football Corner. That's next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN. Are you in the mood? Are you in the market for that new Chevy Silverado? You are, aren't you? You've been seeing it. You know, you ever do that thing where you drive around town and you've been thinking about buying that car and now you see them all over the place? Look at all the Silverados on the road. Think to yourself, you know what, I got to get my hands on a new Silverado. Go to Rolo Chevrolet in Fontana. They've got all the Silverados, all the makes, all the models, all the Chevy cars and trucks that you can imagine. But what they have at Rolo Chevrolet is customer service like no one else. That's how you win Dealer of the Year 13 years in a row, which is exactly what they've done by being courteous, by being transparent, by being upfront, so you feel good about your purchase. So you tell your friends and they tell theirs, and you win Dealer of the Year over and over and over again. And that's what Mike Capozio does at Rolo Chevrolet every single day. Every time you come on that lot, they're going to make sure that you have the customer service experience of a lifetime. I bought a car from Rolo Chevrolet. I've been through the entire sales process, and you're gonna love it. Go see for yourself what all the fun's about at Rolo Chevrolet, right off the 210 freeway, Sierra Avenue exit, right there in Fontana. And if you can't get in, go online, rotolochevy.com. That's ROTOLO, rotolochevy.com.
way, Producer M.
All right, y'all. This is the best time of the year. This is rivalry week in the college football before we get to the championship games, which can be less exciting because there's a lot of the conferences have East and West and might not be the best matchups.
Go Hawkeyes.
Yeah, the Big Ten. All right, so we're starting off here. Alabama beats Auburn 27-24. Okay, if you didn't see it, Alabama was down the majority of the game. They have a ball on the 4th and 31. Well, 4th and goal, but they're in the 31-yard line. And just before this, Jalen Milroe had made a huge mistake. He threw the ball past the line of scrimmage, and so they had to be backed up even further. So it was made a lot of mistakes from Alabama. But
after Auburn had muffed a punt to give them the ball in their own end, and Alabama starts going the wrong way, you figure, okay, they've got this whole thing set up, and they start backing up.
And
they backed up like 15 yards.
Right, and they need a touchdown. Okay, so I'm going to play this call from the Crimson Tide Radio Network from Eli Gold of this play.
4th and goal from the 31-yard line. Here's the snap. Milroe stands in, lets everybody get downfield. Still standing. He throws into the end zone.
He caught it.
It's caught! It's caught by Isaiah Bond. Caught by Isaiah Bond in the corner of the end zone. Touchdown, Alabama! The Crimson Tide with 32 seconds to go in the ballgame. Throwing a Hail Mary into the corner of the end zone.
All right, so
Bond. Isaiah Bond. Whoever was on the broadcast. Yep. Yeah, the TV broadcast.
Alabama had a 0.1 chance to win with 43 seconds left in that game. And so what my takeaway from this is the Breaking Bad meme, which is they can't keep getting away with this. How does Alabama do it?
Well, first of all, that wasn't a Hail Mary.
It wasn't.
A Hail Mary is throw it up into a group of 10 people and gets knocked
and hope
around.
It gets tipped.
This was a 30-yard touchdown pass that was a dime to a guy that was open in the quarter in the end zone.
Bad defense.
That it was terrible defense.
It wasn't even, and can I just jump? There wasn't any defense. They didn't rush the quarterback. The quarterback got to sit for 25 seconds and take his time. Receivers just got to go back and forth.
Milroe was so on tilt. He had not played well most of the day. He had particularly played poorly on this particular drive. And you're just going to let him stand back there and look over the whole field? You can't ask a guy to cover somebody for 10 seconds.
Awful.
That's not going to happen. It wasn't a Hail Mary. The second he let it, you could tell by the way he threw the ball. The second he let it go, he's like, somebody's open, because it wasn't this, high arcing throw into the middle of the end zone. It was on a line to the corner. It was an extraordinary, and Nick Saban had the great line afterward. They're like, how in the world? He goes, oh, we practiced that play. Stop. I love that Nick Saban is always on brand. I love it about him, and I've kind of come around on Nick Saban. I kind of like him now. Stop. You don't practice 4th and 31 from the 31.
The only way you can practice that is if there's 2 dudes rushing the quarterback. And how do you get one-on-one coverage in the corner of the end zone when you only have 2 guys rushing the quarterback?
Yeah, what's everyone else doing?
Well, there are 3 guys watching, like trying to run back, but I want to give Alabama credit, and you should, but what an awful, awful defensive play by Auburn.
Terrible. And correct me if I'm wrong. I want to say Auburn lost to New Mexico State the week before. That's how bad Auburn is.
Yeah, Auburn was not a good team.
No.
Look at Bama.
That's also what rivalry...
Bama's been hanging around for like 9 weeks now.
Yes.
Every week you're like, are they really...
That rivalry game, Ohio State-Michigan's pretty terrific too, but that rivalry game, like when the game is played in Tuscaloosa, Alabama wins by an average margin, I think it's like 27 points. In Auburn,
close game, always close.
The average margin of victory is 1 point.
It's insane.
It's an unbelievable back and forth.
That's incredible.
But only when it's played in Auburn.
Still probably has the best play in college football.
The kick six.
Yep.
All right, one more game, and it is the Michigan and Ohio State game. Michigan beats Ohio State 30-24. And so here's the stat that everyone's talking about after the game: Ryan Day versus Ohio State is 1-3. Ryan Day versus everybody else is 55-4. Okay.
Wow.
So
the 1-3 is going to get his ass fired.
Exactly.
Though.
So that's my statement: is it's enough to get Ryan Day fired eventually.
Yeah. Look,
not this season, but maybe next season.
Not this season, I don't think. But if you keep losing to Michigan, and he's lost to him 3 years in a row, you don't get to keep that job. You just don't get to keep it. There are a handful of jobs in the country that no matter what your record is, it doesn't matter if you lose to your rival the way that Michigan and Ohio State look at this. Same thing would be true. If Jim Harbaugh were going 11-0 every year but losing to the Buckeyes, Jim Harbaugh would be on the hot seat.
So
it's just the reality of that rivalry.
I think he's fine. I don't think he's going anywhere. And I don't think he's going anywhere because they will expand the playoffs. And he'll eventually now be a part of that playoff.
But if you listen
not
to
if he
Ohio
keeps
State
losing
people,
to Michigan, he won't.
True, but if you lose to Michigan and it's the regular season and then you get into that playoff, I guess part of the hope is you don't have to play Michigan potentially. There's other schools that are going to be there. It's not like they're getting their asses kicked either. Miss a game.
I'm telling you, if they keep losing to Michigan, even if they get into the 12 team, even if they win in the college football
So how many
playoffs,
more? 2 more seasons, they lose 2 more.
Put it this way.
They lose the next 2 years.
If they lost to Michigan again next year, and they're 1-4 in 5 years, I wouldn't be surprised if it happened. I'm not saying it will happen, but
Sure.
We're at that point now where, and by the way,
he also
they could've
hasn't won a
that
title
game.
yet, right?
No.
He's been to the college
No.
football playoff,
Yeah.
but he hasn't won a title yet.
He's a good coach.
Of course.
That's not the issue isn't if he's good at it or not. The issue is can he beat Michigan, and he hasn't. And Michigan did a thing that I would have thought was impossible. They made me root for Ohio State. That Jim Harbaugh has reached that point where like anybody but him. Literally anybody but him. I rooted for Ohio State for the first time in my life. I just can't do it.
a couple guys taking a look at the plays.
I'd say I'm excited to be back, but I never went anywhere. Get out of here.
Also, Michigan has won 30 straight games, the first time in Big Ten history, and that includes
That's a
Big
lot.
Ten championship games.
That's a lot. And
Maybe
then
cheating, who knows?
TCU may or may not have known they had their signs and may or may not have used some decoys and may or may not have run up and down the field on them. I don't know. Blake Stallions? What was his name? Connor Stallions.
Connor Stallions. I think it's a 1N Connor, too, like the Irish Connor.
Of course it's good, yeah. Connor.
You gotta, I don't know. You gotta root against Michigan at this point, right? No, unless you're a Michigan alum, you can't root
I
for
agree with you.
Michigan.
I agree with
because it's like rooting for the Astros. Only we know about it before it's actually happened. Imagine if we knew what the Astros had done and it was only in the ALCS.
Oh.
You're like, no, we can't do this
Who
anymore.
do they have? They got, is it Iowa?
Iowa.
Iowa in the Big Ten championship
I've
game.
never been a bigger Iowa fan. I don't buy jerseys.
Iowa
I'm
may
buying
be the
a
one
jersey.
It's by a Steelers jersey.
I may have spoken too soon. I may root for Michigan against Iowa. I can't do Iowa.
No, it's fun.
I can't do Iowa.
I'm rooting for punts. Okay, so a guy.
Those shirts
yes.
were amazing.
So there's these guys at the Iowa-Nebraska game, and then the broadcast kept cutting to them a bunch. These had these sweatshirts that just said punts, and every time they punted the ball, they just cheered. So Travis, isn't it just fun to see just a totally different style of football?
No. No.
You just don't get it.
I don't. Different style. For instance,
Crowd's going crazy on punts.
like
You just don't get it.
Air Force runs a different style of football, right?
Yeah.
They run the veer and they do all the crazy stuff, or Navy, or whoever still does that. That's different. Iowa just sucks. There's a difference between doing
They
it
suck
differently.
on offense.
Right, but that's the part that's fun. That's the part that's fun to watch, not the fart. The part that's fun to watch. You can't win. What did they beat Nebraska? 13-10, something like that. 12-9.
Love it.
It just
So good. You don't miss
Score
a
more
play.
points.
You can go use the restroom. You could go get drinks. You go do everything. You miss no plays.
Ask Slee. Send him on in. Send him to me. Send him to M. Send him to Jorge. You can make the phone call too. 877-710-ESPN. 877-710-3776. Ask Slee is coming up next. So I had a pretty good week with Prize Picks, Slee. Right up until Kyler Murray got me yesterday. So here's how you play Prize Picks. You put the app on your phone. You go to prizepicks.com/710. And you pick between 2 and 6 players. You look at their statistical projection. For instance, with Matthew Stafford yesterday, you look at whether or not he was going to throw for more or less than 248 yards. You make your pick. Kyler Murray's going to throw for more or less than 227.5 yards. Murray let me down a little bit along the way. But I won with Christian McCaffrey. I won with David Montgomery. Every game, there's an opportunity to play Prize Picks. You can win up to 25 times your money.
Prize Picks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. Like Trav mentioned, just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. I just made my picks. Anthony Davis, I got more than 23.5 points. Joel Embiid, I got less than 32 points. That's a lot of points for Embiid, but it is Embiid. You can make your picks in about 60 seconds. Go to prizepicks.com/710 and use that code 710 for a first deposit match of up to $100. Again, PricePicks.com/710. Use that code 710 for a first deposit match of up to $100.
Return of $1 Million Mondays.
$1 Million Mondays.
Your chance to win $1 million from 710 ESPN. Listen every Monday this football season for your chance at $1 million. $1 Million Mondays.
Presented by Hollywood Park Casino. Eat, drink, play.
Listen every Monday to 710 ESPN. When you hear the cue to call, be caller number 7. Give us your Super Bowl prediction, both teams and the final score, and you could be winning $1 million this football season on LA's $1 Million Mega Sports Station. 710 ESPN.
Big news, Laker fans. John Ireland here. You can now stream every Lakers game on the ESPN LA app. Don't miss a second of the action with Michael Thompson and I on the call. Plus, all your live and local Lakers talk every day in the palm of your hand.
You're one tap away from everything Lakers.
You could even win Lakers tickets.
Download the ESPN LA app. And bam!
Download the ESPN LA app at the App Store and Google Play.
Resort SoCal. Find your funner state of mind with a visit to Harrah's Resort SoCal. Voted best resort in funner California. From dining to unwinding, you'll find fun around every corner. Learn more at harrahssocal.com. Let's get to it. Ask Slee right now.
No big surprise, Al, that the majority of the Ask Slees today are Thanksgiving and post-Thanksgiving related.
Okay, fair.
So let's
Very
start
fair.
with Aaron. What did you eat on Friday after Thanksgiving?
So we actually, I guess I do a lot of post-Thanksgiving meals. So I'm still, it's not too different. But on Friday, I'm taking the rice that we had, which was a yellow rice and a white rice. I'm heating up the turkey. I got the gravy on the side. I told you I got the curry as well,
Yeah.
which is so it's almost literally identical
Just a run back
to what I had, which I'm a run back kind of guy. If
That's
everything
great.
tasted good, let's do it. Only thing I didn't have was mashed potatoes because the mashed potatoes were gone, but the gravy was still there and the gravy was still being used. I'm sorry, Jorge. The gravy was still. The gravy is like, think about, I don't know, a position player in the NFL that he's very, very important. Tight end. That's a good one. The gravy was kind of Higbee. The gravy was definitely.
Well, only yesterday.
Only
because
yesterday.
that's the first time he was.
Like a Kittle.
Yeah.
No, but only yesterday is the right way to put it.
Absolutely. Em, what do you got?
All right. I do not have one right now. Jorge, do you have
I'm
one?
ready.
All right, I got one.
Okay.
Capitano Matt, he says, what date has Lady Slee deemed Christmas Decoration Day?
Got to get into December. So a lot of people are doing it, which I don't mind this. Growing up, that's what we did after Thanksgiving. You kind of start setting up all
like
your...
that Friday after?
The Friday after. Even, we'd even do it. Yeah, the Friday after is kind of the day you start taking everything down and everything else. But she usually will do it, we're in December. So December 1st, 2nd, 3rd, somewhere around there is when she'd deem it. When do you guys do it?
Susan started the process yesterday.
I thought you were going to say Susan started the process 4th of July.
No,
July
she's a decorator, as you know.
Yeah.
And so she started it yesterday. When I was up here working all day, when I came home yesterday, the house is starting to get a Christmas vibe to it. And my street, all of a sudden, I pulled onto the street last night. It's obviously dark when I get home.
Everything lit up?
Not everything, but half the street was.
Yeah.
That happened in a hurry.
A lot of people do it right after Thanksgiving.
I have one from Christopher Holmes. So what's up, Holmes?
What's up, Holmes?
He says, I was the youngest of my generation and didn't graduate from the kids' table until he was 25. When did you graduate from the kids' table?
No, earlier than that. I mean, 25. That's late.
I'm
in the game.
still at the kids' table in certain families.
Yeah,
so, okay,
I get it.
Well, because there's only certain many spots at the table, so
Yeah.
it's more less than a kids' table. It's more of a generation table. So there's the generation that have kids table, there's generation that doesn't have kids, and even some people that do have young kids at this table, and then even a younger table for the kiddos.
Okay, that's a fair. I like that because there's the main table. And typically the main table, it's your dad is there.
Yep.
Your mom is there.
Grandma.
Your uncle is there. Your grandma's there. Your aunt is there. They're at the main table. So there's a lot of times, I think up until, you could say like 20-ish, somewhere around there. And you find yourself going with all your other cousins who are around the same age. You're outside, you're this, you're that. You're taking
a
your
walk.
food. You're taking your food wherever there's
wink.
room.
It depends on how big your family is, right? If you come from a big family, you could be in your 30s and not get to the main table. Like we've had Thanksgivings with 50, 60 people like you're talking about. I'm sitting in the kitchen at a card table.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm 29 years old.
I also
That's just
call
the way that it goes.
The political table and the fun table.
Oh, yeah, no,
So
wait.
it's the political table is my parents' generation. Our table's the fun table.
It was a different day for me. Thankfully, Thanksgiving did not go that way. Another day may have.
I didn't have gravy.
Yeah, you didn't have gravy.
That's politics in itself.
Look at my face. I'm sorry.
I
know.
man.
I feel bad.
I should bring him some gravy tomorrow.
All our gravy's
by the
long
way,
gone.
there was still some stuff yesterday I was still eating.
Gravy?
Thanksgiving gravy. Yep.
There's still food.
Still preparing some
Kirk
stuff
was
from
giving
yesterday.
me a hard time yesterday, saying that all of my Thanksgiving leftovers needed to be consumed by yesterday. I still have a decent amount of ham left.
Okay.
A little bit of stuffing left, and
you got to
that's
start
basically
being.
it.
Yeah, today you got to get rid of it by today.
Today?
Yeah,
it's not even a
Thursday?
week. It's Monday.
But do you want stuffing from
Sure.
5 days ago?
Heat it up again, pop it back in the oven.
Yeah, man, what's wrong with
Absolutely.
you?
If it doesn't smell bad,
Yeah.
you eat it.
That's, by the way.
No,
I don't know if that's like the.
My only thing is I just don't want to get sick. It'll last a week at least.
Yeah,
I don't know,
refrigerated.
wait,
7
least.
days.
7
7 days refrigerated.
Yep.
All
Yep.
right.
I'm not
All right.
doing it. Jason in Downey is up next. Jason, hashtag Ask Slee. What do you got, Jay?
That fool.
What's up, fool? So this is kind of an ask everybody, but one of the funniest things I think about Thanksgiving is that everyone gets dressed up just to eat in the living room. So my ask for you guys is, when you guys get together, do you guys dress up?
So I'll go first. I'm definitely not wearing the same attire that I'm wearing for just hanging out at my parents' house. But
Are you wearing like what you're wearing right now?
No.
Okay.
No. But my
Nicer?
dress up, my dress
Yeah.
up would be just, it's a nicer shirt, probably tucked in, something like that.
Do you have
a little more
a
presentable?
belt and slacks on?
No slacks. I'm
Okay.
wearing jeans.
Do you have
Okay.
shoes
I'm
on?
wearing jeans.
Okay. How about
Definitely
you?
wearing shoes.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely wearing shoes.
So in my house, I am not wearing shoes, but I'm dressing up everywhere else because it's my house and I didn't have to leave my house to get there. So I'm usually not wearing shoes, but I'll put on nice pants and a sweater, kind of similar-ish to what I wear to work. But my dad, so it was funny. So he was cooking while people arrived. People arrived like an hour early, which is a whole nother
Early?
thing. Yes.
That's aggressive.
What
Yes.
What time did you guys tell everybody to come?
4. They came at 3. I was
No.
like, 3?
Sorry, come back in an hour.
That's what I
Drive
felt.
around the block a
But
few
my
times.
dad let
Go
him
to
in.
Walmart.
Anyway, my dad almost had like a Cinderella moment where he came down the stairs in a little like suit, and we were like, okay. He was the only person dressed up.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Jorge, what about you?
It was half and half. My dad was in jeans, t-shirt. He's like, I'm cooking, whatever. And then,
I feel like somebody cooking, there's different gear for that.
Yeah, and then my mom was dressed up. Brenda dressed up. Her mom dressed up. and I was just jeans, t-shirt. Just I was matching with whatever they were wearing, but it was just the t-shirt and jeans and my
Casual.
sneakers.
I had on the pants that I wear to work every day, those same style of pants, and I had on a party shirt. It's a party. We got people coming over. I have on my party shirt, and I always have shoes on in the house, so that goes without saying. It was my little martini party shirt.
I have another question here from Jorge in LA Live. When you're in it's Thanksgiving, right? Whatever. And then who's the first one that cuts the turkey? Is it you? Is it your dad? Is it your in-laws? Like, who's the first one to cut the turkey or start the food?
So I asked my dad to do it because he's good at it. And if I tried to do it, it'd look like I threw it in a wood chipper. It would just come out like a huge mess. There would be
take the full trees that go through.
It just would be no chance. So he did it. We kind of tag teamed it pretty good. We had the whole Rogers clan was, and my Aunt Kristen was awesome. She did a whole bunch of stuff too. It was very successful.
I started. I've done it before, like you. Nothing great. But my brother-in-law was like, he's like the head coach. And he's like, okay, you're gonna start area this. I'm like, Jay, just grab the knife and cut it. And he started cutting. He cut it perfect. Did what he had to do. Removed this, removed that. I'm like, you don't have to tell me. You just take the knife and go.
I think it's being a little. My dad is very patient, and he will very methodically go through it and make it look pretty and the whole thing. Like me, I just want to get the meat
it's a fight.
off the carcass.
No, but it becomes a
onto
fight
the plate.
too.
The leg
just
off,
pulling,
exactly.
just making it look like an absolute hot mess. Speaking of hot and cold, coming up next, it's Travis Slee, 710 ESPN. If you've been to an NFL game yet so far this season, what are you waiting for, right? Vivid Seats has your back for all your ticket needs. See every tackle, every touchdown, and every play live and in person with great deals on great seats. Plus, with Vivid Seats Rewards, you earn rewards with every purchase. They're here for us fans. That's why they offer unbelievable rewards, unbeatable rewards, like surprise seat upgrades, free tickets, and more. Just visit vividseats.com or download the app today. Vivid Seats, the official ticketing partner of ESPN.
The return of
At ESPN, Next Gen. Next Gen, the official AC heat and plumbing company of SoCal sports fans.
You're as cold as ice.
Call 833-3-NEXTGEN, NEXGEN, or visit nextgenairandplumbing.com. Time for our feature we do 3 days a week at 12:30 p.m. Who's hot? Who's cold? Thanks to Next Gen. Time for Who's Hot on this Cyber Monday. How about Alex Smith? Take it away, Em.
And we're even doing it an hour and a half early because we have the combo plate today with Mason and Ireland later on. But why is Alex Smith hot? Not just because he's a good-looking guy, but because he went off on Tom Brady. So Tom Brady, last week we covered this when Andy was in. He went off saying that the NFL is mediocre. That it's gone downhill since he left.
He did the whole they should put flags on these guys rant.
Yeah, exactly. He was being very old man. He's trying on his personality, as Andy liked to say. So Alex Smith was on the pregame show on NFL Live for the NFL yesterday, and this is what he had to say in response. Also, while on the desk with two former Patriots and Rex Ryan, who will prove to be important to his statement.
First off, he hasn't been retired that long. He was just playing. Like, he just won a Super Bowl in the current game. Like, is he discounting that one? And then my biggest complaint with this, and no offense to you guys, well, all three of you guys, he played in the most uncompetitive division, I think, in NFL history. I mean, you come out of training camp, the biggest cupcake division, you got a ticket to the playoffs right away. Like, talk about mediocre. Like, I completely disagree with this.
So where's the lie?
I don't think he was lying. I think Alex Smith nailed it, and I give him credit for saying it in front of Rex Ryan, who coached in that division against Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. It was a weird flex for Brady because if this came from, I don't know, Joe Montana or John Elway or Dan Marino or one of these guys
that were
was
distanced from the league
from
for
the
a while.
80s and 90s.
In a different
sure,
generation.
Tom Brady played last year and was in the playoffs. Tom Brady won the Super Bowl.
Embarrassed in the playoffs.
2 years prior to that. They nearly upset the Rams the year after that. Tom Brady, the reason you can't hit the quarterback anymore is in large part because they didn't want Tom Brady to get hit. And for him to all of a sudden come in and say that, oh, this isn't the way that it's supposed to be.
Back in my day.
Yeah, it was a really weird deal, and he's right about the AFC East. It's been dreadful forever.
Here's the only problem with the comment on the AFC East and the Patriots. They'd go on, make the playoffs, had to beat teams in the playoffs, had to obviously take care of business against the NFC in the Super Bowl. That I get it that the division wasn't all that good, but usually you'd get exposed in the playoffs if the division was that bad when
Unless
you start playing
have a
good teams.
super easy ride, you don't get banged up. You
always
don't
have the number
to,
one overall
You're
spot.
always playing at home because you're
There's
always
advantages,
the top
but in the
seed.
NFL, it's also very easy to lose in the playoffs.
It is.
In the
That's why they
postseason.
didn't win it every year. But I think generally speaking, his criticism
That's
of the
fair
AFC
on the division.
East
I get that.
Six
is a fair
cupcake
one.
wins every year.
You
And
do, but they at least, it's not like they'd get to the playoffs and
No.
they'd fold shop every year because of that.
Yeah, unlike the Ravens. Okay, so I'm going to go with who's
Who do you hate
cold?
more, the Ravens or Josh Allen?
This year, because Aaron Rodgers isn't playing, I do think that
Or the guy you sat next to on the airport.
to derail
or on the
this,
plane.
I have respect for Ravens in the season, though I want the Steelers to beat their butts every time. But I have no respect for the Ravens when they get to the postseason because they haven't done anything with Lamar Jackson. That's just that.
That's
Josh
fair.
Allen also, he does not win the big games. He's 0-6 in overtime. They changed the overtime rules for Josh Allen, and he still hasn't won an overtime game. So that's my
Well, he
little
wasn't
bit.
the one responsible for not tackling Jalen Hurts.
But he was the person responsible for not throwing the ball to Gabe Davis, who was wide open. All right. So anyway, who's cold?
Who did
And
they
now
give
time
up?
for Who's Cold. Commonwealth Clash.
All right, so the Commonwealth Clash, for those of you who are from here and not from Virginia, is between Virginia and Virginia Tech, okay? So it's every year, and no matter what, if for me as a Virginia fan, it doesn't matter what happens in the season. If they beat Virginia Tech, it's a winning season. They have only beaten Virginia Tech once in 25 years.
That's unreal.
2019,
Oh my
Bryce
gosh.
Perkins. It was great. I was so happy. So Virginia Tech beats Virginia 55-17. Complete beatdown, and it was hard to watch. So after the game, handshakes, go to locker rooms, celebrate in the locker room. Virginia Tech's like, actually, let's go take a photo out in the field on the logo of Virginia. So they walk out, take the logo, sit down, and then the sprinklers go off because I don't know if
Sure,
it's
it's a
UVA.
coincidence.
Obviously, coincidence.
It's
the
on
gardener
a timer.
Yeah.
It's on.
So the sprinklers are going off, probably to shoo them off the field, but instead they still take the photo, and it's even a harder photo now. So that's what's cold is the Commonwealth Clash.
This is one of the few times where everybody kind of wins, right? Other than Virginia getting killed 50, what did you say, 55 to 17 or whatever? Yeah, 55. Not so much a win there, but I like that Virginia Tech's like, yeah, we killed you, and we're going to go take the picture. I like that UVA turned the water on them, and I like that Virginia Tech's like, we don't give a damn, we're still taking the picture. It's a win across the board.
Also, to Virginia Tech, football's the only thing you guys beat us in. We beat you guys in everything else. We beat your butts and everything.
So here's the one thing that you said, I think most important in the beginning. It probably made that picture so much better.
Yeah.
And we're talking about it more because of that.
Well, you're talking about it because of me.
But V-Tech won. They won that one.
I love pettiness. I just it's tremendous, and when it kind of backfires a little bit like that, it's even better. That should be hot for everybody. They should be. We should double hot. Who's hot? Who's cold? Brought to you by NextGen. NextGen, the official AC heat and plumbing company of SoCal sports fans. Call 833-3-NEXTGen or visit nextgenairandplumbing.com. So the reason we have the combo play today, Slee, is the Lakers in Philly taking on Joel Embiid. Lakers 10-7 through their first 17 games, and I want to pull way back from this, right? And they are 10-7 through 17 games. I think, generally speaking, there's been some valleys. There's been some, hey, what the heck are you guys doing with minutes? But 10-7 through 17 games, Lakers are in a pretty good. It's weird. They're in 7th place in the West, so that's not what you're looking for. But considering that they've been limited all season long, they haven't been whole for any part of the season, that they're on the right side of 500 by 3 games after 17 games, I think is a really good sign for the Lakers.
Does a combo plate have gravy?
Yours doesn't.
We gotta get that corrected in that household there. They've won 7 of 9 too. So I think that they started 3-5.
Mm-hmm.
And if you remember the 3-5 start, you and I are kind of standing there and we're like, I think they're supposed to be a lot better than this. I don't think some of these role players just forget how to play? I mean, it's not like they're asking these guys to do anything crazy. Austin Reeves, what are we doing with Austin Reeves? Then they decide early on in the season, we're going to bring him off the bench. It's like, wow, okay, well, that was a quick adjustment. They win that game at Phoenix. They've won 7 of 9. Let me give you a good example from Saturday's game. Saturday's game, you had no Cam Reddish, no Jared Vanderbilt, no Gabe Vincent, no Rui Hachimura. I'm not telling you that they lost Patrick Ewing, Hakeem Olajuwon, and Gary Payton, but those players are useful to the Lakers.
They're all rotation guys.
All rotation guys. Cam's been starting for the Lakers. So you're missing some pieces. You go on the road. You start a 4-game road trip. I did not think they were going to win the game against the Cavs, and how they won that game was interesting to me. Because if I told you that Lakers are on the road and Braun does not have a good game, Braun was 1 of 9 from the 3-point line, took some shots that I thought was going to actually lose them the game. I'd say, okay, well, Lakers probably got their ass kicked. If Braun didn't play well, they probably got their ass kicked. 7 guys in double figures. They only suited up 8. They win on the road. Anthony Davis was phenomenal.
He's great.
32, 13, 3 blocks, everything else. I think 10-7 is a really good record for them. And there have been some games, some head scratchers and some losses that you kind of question, or they get off to such poor starts. Before Thanksgiving, they had a game on Wednesday, and they did the same thing. They're down 14 or 16 at the half. It's like, again? They come all the way back in the fourth quarter, should have actually won that game, ended up losing. They still have plenty of moments where you're wondering what the hell's going on, but I think as the dust is starting to settle and you're starting to kind of see, okay, I know that player's going to come off the bench. I know these guys are going to be the starters. They still have so many question marks around the team. They still haven't seen a lot of these players together. 10-7, I think, is a good record for them.
The daily on the Lakers, to me, is far less interesting than the where are we through, you know what I mean? The macro is more interesting than the micro because of what you said, Slee. The macro is you've been missing guys all season long. You just played incredibly shorthanded in Cleveland, and your best player had a bad night. He still won the game. Like the macros of this, I think, are trending in the right direction. Don't look at the 7th place. Look at who have you had and what are the results. Who you've had is kind of a mixed bag. Guys have been in and out of, other than LeBron and AD, guys have been in and out of the lineup, and you're on the right side of 500. As the guys start to come back, the Vincents and the Vanderbilts and the Hachimuras and all these guys that are missing time start to come back, you have the moments that, whatever, it'll take a week or two or maybe a little to finally figure out which pieces fit best with the other pieces, what are the rotations. If this is as bad as they're going to be, and not that they've been bad, but if this is their floor, they're in a really good spot because they are going to get better. They are going to get healthier. They are going to understand how to play with each other a little bit better as the season progresses. So even at 3-5 is more like, okay, this isn't great, but let's see. The graph is pointed up. It's not a super steep graph at this point, but I like where they are, generally speaking. I didn't love where they were 2 weeks ago. I think they've improved noticeably in that 2 weeks. And with all the pieces that are ultimately going to come back, I think they're in a pretty darn good spot.
It's funny because the standings, I have not really paid any attention to the standings. Just too early. And the game they played on Saturday, they're 20% done with the season.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy how quick, but they're 20% done with the season. And you look at the standings, they're one game back from third place. Phoenix is 11-6. Lakers are 10-7. It's literally one game. But I think the question is going to come with the Lakers as the season progresses is who's carrying the load? Is it still on LeBron and Anthony Davis every single game? Take AD out of the picture. Is it still on LeBron every game? And if we're sitting here a month from now and they're relatively in a similar spot, few games above 500, wherever they are, but Bron is still doing what he has to do and still having to put in 35 minutes a game. I think if there's any time to justify playing Bron big minutes, it's only in the beginning of the season because you still know you have a lot of runway left. But that's the one area I think we both agree with. How much they've had to use him has been a problem. However, with that being said, you get 6-7 guys that are contributing. They're not losing many games if they have that many guys contributing. They've had that.
And if you can get the version of Anthony Davis that you got in Cleveland frequently, he's not going to give it to you every night. That's just not realistic. Yeah. That's not – look, even Giannis doesn't do that every night, right? This was the highest level that AD gets to. But if you can get that frequently, if you can get that tonight against Joel Embiid, if you can get that, instead of 1 out of every – 5 or 6 games, get it 1 out of every 3 or 4. It's just those little incremental improvements. They're in a really good spot. So they're going, unless LeBron's health is the big one, AD's health is the big one. They're in a good spot. Like I look at them like they're going to be all right. They're going to be in the mix when it comes time to start the playoffs with this group playing like this. And at that point, it's up to LeBron and AD to go nuts.
I wouldn't, whether Laker fans want to hear this or not. I don't think they put this roster together with, if they got to make adjustments, they're going to make adjustments by the trade deadline. They have a lot of options because no contract out there is like, oh my gosh, you can't move that. That's not the case. So I think they'll also be able to kind of clean up around the edges. But you were just saying about Anthony Davis, and I think this is what makes the matchup fun against Joel Embiid. I know what Embiid's going to do. Embiid's going to end up with 32 and 12 and 3 block shots and probably 5 assists. That's
what he does.
Literally, his average is very similar to that. The question more is going to be, is AD going toe-to-toe with this guy or not? And I can use the last 2 games as a great example. Dallas Mavericks and the Lakers on Wednesday. AD took 10 shots. He didn't take a shot in the fourth quarter. AD against the Cleveland Cavaliers, they get blown out if AD doesn't have the type of game that he had. That's kind of the perfect example there of every single night you're a little bit hesitant. I don't hesitate with Joker and Embiid
he's not one
and
of those
Giannis
guys.
And Bron
Next
and
tier.
these guys. He's
in the next tier. He's just we were hopeful he'd be in the tier, the top one, all those guys you mentioned. He's not. He occasionally plays like that, but he doesn't live up there.
Yeah.
He lives in that next tier, which is the very, very good tier, as opposed to the great tier, the MVP tier. He's just one tier below that.
3-bed. He lives in a 3-bed, 2-bath house. Very nice house.
It's a great spot
on a golf course.
It's great. Yeah. You got a code to get through the gate.
Yep.
There's not a guy there that's going to check you in, but there is a little keypad that you hit.
Embiid is on the hill. He's overlooking.
Embiid's got a compound.
Gate.
Yeah, he's got a compound. You got to go through several layers to get to his spot. The Chargers lose again, and I'll give them credit for this. They're very creative when it comes to finding ways to look ridiculous. That's next. It's Travis and Slee, 710 ESPN. And big news, Next Gen is the official AC heat and plumbing company of Southern California sports fans. That's right. Next Gen, absolutely the best in the biz, and thousands of 5-star reviews online to prove it, including mine. And right now, you can get a 28-point full heat and AC safety inspection and tune-up, just $44. That's right, only $44 to ensure that your system stays running strong all year long, and they'll even throw in a free air filter at no charge. This week, it's going to be cold, right? So you're going to need to run your heat. Next week, it could be back in the 80s again. You got the air conditioning on. This is why you got to get somebody out there to make sure that your system is running at its best. If you got a slow drain in the house, how about a drain cleaning with camera inspection? Also just $44. Here's how you do it. You call 833-3-NEXTGEN. That's 833-3-NEXGEN and say goodbye to your AC heating or plumbing problems. Call 833-3-NEXTGEN or visit nextgenairandplumbing.com to schedule online.
The return of
Mondays.
Hollywood Park Casino. Eat, drink, play.
$1 Million Mondays are back on 710, and I think we got caller number 7, Jack. Are you ready, partner? Let's find out who's caller number 7.
Yes, indeed, we do. Caller number 7 is Robert Fuentes in Bellflower. Robert, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, so here's how it works. You give us your prediction for the Super Bowl, both the two teams and the score that you think it's going to be, and you have a chance to win $1 million. So Robert Fuentes from Bellflower, what is your Super Bowl prediction?
Baltimore 31 and Niners 27.
All right, so we got a Baltimore Ravens 31, San Francisco 49ers 27. We got that right?
Yes, correct.
All right, there you go. Congratulations, Robert, and good luck with your Super Bowl prediction. Thank you for playing $1 Million Mondays, and just for playing, you win 2 tickets to SoFi Stadium for a game. That's $1 Million Mondays on 710 ESPN, presented by Hollywood Park Casino. Eat, drink, play. Baltimore, San Francisco. Yep.
Yeah,
Baltimore's not going to get there.
I think the last couple of weeks
hates the Ravens.
She hates them. She hates them.
I have reasons to hate the Ravens.
No, that's a fair one. I think Baltimore. I think they've been picked 2 weeks in a row now, so they're starting to work their way into our Super Bowl picks.
I want to say, and fact check me on this. I think all 4 division leaders in the AFC are 8-3. There is a 4-horse race for the number 1 seed in the AFC. Jacksonville is 8-3. Baltimore's is 8-3. Baltimore's 9-3.
Yeah.
Miami, I believe, is 8-3. And who am I forgetting? The West. And the Chiefs are 8 or 9-3. Yeah, so it is a dead heat for that top. How weird would it be if a team like Jacksonville lands that top seed? Because think about it. You play a bunch of division games down the stretch. Their division is, it's okay.
Colts,
Houston's okay.
Texans,
Colts okay.
Titans.
Carolina, the Titans are a bad team. Jacksonville with a first-round bye.
Did you guys see the end of the game yesterday? The Texans.
Off the crossbar.
Oh, my God.
That ball's what, 6 inches further?
And
it goes in?
And the way they were setting it up, too, where I think they were saying something along the lines.
It was Amendola who was kicking it for the Texans, too.
This guy got called a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, because the guy got injured. That's why they had Daria Gumbawala kick the
58, 59, whatever it was. And
it was a bomb.
It was a great kick.
It was right down just
like you said,
a half yard
inches.
short.
Inches.
A half yard short.
I don't know if Robert Fuentes is up to this conspiracy theory, but there's a conspiracy theory in the NFL script.
Yes.
That every year, so we have a logo for the Super Bowl already. So every year the logo is premiered, and usually now recently there has been a mix of colors that are featured in the logo. In the past few years, it just so happens
last year's was green and red.
Yes, the last 2 teams that make it in have colors.
Year before that, yellow and orange.
Yeah, yellow and orange, which is
Rams and Bengals.
So this year's logo has purple and like a
Baltimore-ish in there.
Reddish pink, and that could be the Niners and the Ravens. So who knows?
Maybe Robert is a conspiracy theorist when it comes to NFL Super Bowl
But it does
matchups.
stop this year because the Ravens aren't going to do it.
The AFC is not very good, and I don't mean that there isn't a heavyweight. Like right now, there are 2 heavyweights in the NFC. Right, that the Eagles and the Niners are clearly the 2 best teams in the NFC. Dallas and Detroit on that second tier.
Mm-hmm.
But is there anybody? Is it still the Chiefs because they have Patrick Mahomes? Because the rest of the AFC all feels like it's kind of the same.
Look at the Texans too. C.J. Stroud, if they get in, look out.
But think about what you were just saying about Baltimore, which actually she said 14 times during the show.
That she hates them?
That she has no faith that they can do it in the playoffs. That I think more people are just going to lean towards the Chiefs because I've seen that, right? They've done it. You're not wrong about C.J. Stroud. You're not wrong about there are other teams out there. Maybe Jacksonville can be the team. But ultimately, when the dust settles, you just end up going with what you've seen has got there before. And as great as the Ravens are, they're going to have to win playoff games with Lamar Jackson and make you believe and think that, yeah, they can represent
If
the
they
AFC.
get it at home, I think that's a big deal. If they don't have to go to KC or even go to Miami or one of those other teams that, may get the number 1 overall seed. If Baltimore can get that, I think it helps them
They've
a
lost
little
at home
bit.
before.
I know
all
that.
beatable.
I know
But
that.
no,
I know
but-
Tennessee beat them a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But I do think that's one of those teams, weather factor. Like if Baltimore has to come in there. Kansas City, not so much by the cold, but
Honestly, Denver, too. If I don't trust them really, but I could see them knocking off someone they're not supposed to in the postseason.
Of all the teams in the AFC, if I subtract what's happened in the past in the playoffs, I would take Baltimore.
Yeah, they look the best.
They're a complete team. You know what I mean?
Counterpoint.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't look very good last night.
They didn't. They looked okay.
They
had some turnovers.
They should have won that game by 3 touchdowns, and they didn't. They needed a late touchdown to ultimately end up winning by 10. But San Diego, the Chargers kept giving the ball. The Chargers had 4 turnovers.
Yep.
Chargers had penalties.
And where they had the turnovers.
It's so funny to me that think about the Chargers, who we all agree have a ton of talent. They got a really good quarterback. They've got
Keenan
a pair
Allen,
of good wide receivers.
Austin Eckler.
You've got a good running back. You've got Bosa. You've got Derwin James. You've got Khalil Mack. You've got all this talent. Gerald Everett, who their tight end, good player. I mean, maybe not an all-pro, but he's a functional player. One week they lose because they give up 500 yards. One week they lose because their coach is a blockhead and does something stupid. Another week they lose because they turn it over 4 times. Another week they lose because they take a bad intentional grounding penalty. Another week they lose because they can't block anybody up front. They take an unfortunate penalty. Never has a team with more talent found more ways to blow games. Because if this were just one problem, you say, look, I'm just making something up. Their offensive line is no good. They can't protect him. It doesn't work. And you can't fix 5 guys in the middle of a season. That's not what this is. Every week it's a new way to blow a game, and it's a lot of times undisciplined. It's a lot of times poorly coached. These are all head coach problems. These are all culture problems. Yeah. And that Staley they have the second worst. They are in 15th place in the AFC. Only the New England Patriots have won fewer games. That's unforgivable.
And I think that the Bills are a different thing. They keep on finding ways to lose, but it's not like they're losing kind of the same way each time. It's kind of bad luck.
There's a theme to it. I think with the Chargers, and you hear this, I know everybody says this, good teams find ways to win. Bad teams finds a way to lose, but I think the way you just described it, I don't know how they're going to lose every week.
You're right.
Right? Think of the last game. Was the game before the Ravens, who'd they lose to? They lost to the Packers.
Mm-hmm.
The game before that was the Lions in that shootout.
The Lions had 500 yards of offense.
But it was 41-38. Okay, well, the Ravens yesterday only had 10 points. Now, a lot of it you can say, well, the turnovers in the red zone and everything else, but that I think is the part that they find ways to lose. Every single week they're going to be creative. Every single week they're going to throw it. They lost that way, and they lost this way, and they lost that way. And I think it does ultimately come down to, even take Staley out of the mix for a quick second. Nobody walking into this season, if you're a Charger fan or you're just somebody that's watching NFL football, thought Staley's the right guy for the Chargers. No. Here they are, wasting another year. They're 4-7 now on the season, and nothing's really changed.
I don't even want to take Andy Reid or Mike Tomlin or one of these guys, the Pete Carrolls. I'm not even going to. Just think if you had Doug Peterson coaching that team. Think if you had Sean Payton coaching this team. Think of Sean McVay is an extreme example, but just give NFL competence, right? And Sean McVay and all these guys, they know what they're doing.
Payton's the right example because Payton wanted to come to the Chargers. That's the right example.
And they got the Chargers. The Broncos were 1-5, gave up 70 points to the Miami Dolphins. They've won 5 games in a row. That is an unbelievable testament to the culture, to the tenacity, and to the leadership.
We're not
of
giving
Sean
up.
Payton. We're not giving up.
Yep.
We're not doing this. We're going to continue to get better. The Chargers have talent all over the place, and they get worse year to year. That if you just had the most average NFL coach in the league, just the most basic guy,
they're
in
probably
the league,
6-5 or something like that.
Probably
4-7 right now.
I wouldn't even think they're a little better than that.
Yeah,
they got one of the best core. At least when you watch Herbert, he runs, he throws, he's tough. It's like, why aren't they winning all these games? And they're the second worst team in the conference, and he's still there.
But you are right about Baltimore did not look great yesterday.
No, they didn't,
and they found a way to win
against the Chargers. And I'm not even saying that, but they did. The Chargers gave them the ball 4 times. They should have won that game by 3 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. That was a very, very sloppy game. Factor Cap coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN.
All right, don't miss the 2023 Subaru Share the Love event happening right now through January 2nd After this 16th year of sharing the love, Subaru, check this, will have donated over $285 million to charity. Visit my good friends over at Sierra Subaru Monrovia as they are proudly supporting Foothill Unity Center and the Pavlov Foundation during the Subaru Share the Love event. I know we all know this time of the year. It's so important to give back. And Sierra Subaru Monrovia, one of the things I love most about this partnership, it's all about the community. Yes, they got a wonderful line of cars. Yes, Subaru is a fantastic, fantastic brand. But they give back, and I think that's what's so important, especially this time of the year. But they do it 12 months out of the year. Go to sierrasubaru.com for more information or visit them just off the 210 and 605 freeway. That's sierrasubaru.com.
And it is a Michelob Ultra.
But I'm going to go fact.
First of all, it's not a cap. It's
no, it
just
is a cap.
Welcome to Factor Cap.
Hey guys, I got a new phone when I was home for Thanksgiving, so I'm a new woman. So just watch out, guys. I will be taking pictures everywhere,
including Penny the dog.
Yes, and including my little dog Penny. looking very old right now, but I took a picture of her with cinematic mode. And it's a
Basically,
cute
looked like Scorsese shot it.
yeah, basically.
Take a picture of Gravy by any chance?
Did not take any picture of Gravy. So Chris Collinsworth was calling the Thanksgiving Day game between the 49ers and the Seahawks. And so they were in Seattle. And he was telling a story about a mistake that he made at the market. So I'm going to play it for you right now.
I never buy fish, right? You're in the market, you say, okay, I'm going to buy some fish, and I'm going to take it home for Thanksgiving. So I go in there, and I see the thing, this big fish is there, and it says $35. I go, well, that's pretty good. That's about the same price as in a restaurant, right?
$34.99.
$34.99, right there it is. So I come out, and I go, all right, I'll take two.
Right.
You know?
$70?
I thought $72. $800. I was like, per pound.
Oh, keyword per pound.
Yeah, but you can't go back once you said you want 2 fish. They already got them loaded up.
All right, so put yourself in Chris Collinsworth's shoes. You have Chris Collinsworth money. You would do what Chris Collinsworth did. Travis, Factor Cap.
Cap. Even if I had LeBron James money, I'm saying, hold on a second. I've made a mistake. I misread the pricing.
LeBron money, 4 fish.
I do not want 2 whole fish for $800. I wanted 2 fillets is what I thought I was getting. And so I don't care how much money you have. If you're thinking you're spending $70 and something costs $800, I'm stopping them and saying, my fault, unpack it. It's not going down like that. Here's my question. In what universe does he think an entire salmon costs $35? A piece of salmon in a restaurant costs $35. One small 6-ounce fillet costs $35. He thought he's getting the whole fish for $35? Has he never been out before?
Okay. Go ahead.
No, you. Go,
okay, so I was going to say, would you do what Chris Collinsworth did? Fact, and let me properly explain this.
You'd take the $800 hit?
Okay, let me no. Cap. Let me roundabout. I've been to Pike Market before. And
yeah, me too.
Awesome, really cool. They throw in the fish. You kind of get caught up in the whole thing, but never in my mind did I think to myself, I'm buying a, fish or anything along those lines. But let me take it to a much, our day-to-day. And let's say we go to a grocery store. A grocery store is actually a great example. I didn't know I bought something that was a lot more expensive than I thought. And I don't care if they pack it, this, that. I don't care if I walk out and I got the receipt. If I don't feel good about it, there's a good chance I'm walking back into that grocery store. I'm giving them the receipt. I'm saying, guys, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
The packing the fish, that's kind of a different thing because...
unpack it.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing. Like, I hate to be the guy that does it, but I have to do it. I made a mistake. I'm not spending $800.
Not on salmon, I'm not.
Now, the question of why he thought it was $35, that's a completely different conversation.
Cap, not even when I go to a restaurant, I get crab or whatever market price. I don't get anything that says market price. For the same reason, I don't want to drop that kind of money. 2, how the hell am I going to cut that fish when I get home? You know what I'm saying? How am I going to cut it?
How is he transporting this back to wherever Collinsworth
I'm assuming they ship it wherever he goes back to.
Yeah, no idea.
Too much money.
No. We were at the grocery store one time, and I bought a bag of apples, right? Like, throw a few in the bag and walk over there. And the checker looks at me and says, I'm not trying to get in your business at all, but you do understand that these apples are $8 a pound, right? They're not labeled very clearly over there. I'm like, they're what? Mm-hmm. And I said, no. She goes, right? And I'm like, I do not want
problem.
these
I'm
apples.
I'm going to go back and put all the
and
apples
she said,
back.
I'll take care of them for you as well. Because so many people, their bill comes up and they're like, you charged me $16 for apples. And they're like, well, yeah, they're $8 a pound. She said, I don't want $16. I want $3 worth of apples.
I'm with Jorge on this. You got to ask if it's market price. You got to kind of have no problem saying, and what's the price of that? Or we've talked about this. You go get a glass of wine somewhere and they recommend it, and they don't tell you a price. I need to know how much this thing costs because we've been too many times where you're like, why would I spend that much on a glass of wine or whatever?
Even if you want to spend that much money, it's nice to know and not be surprised by it.
Yes.
Because you still might get it.
Yes.
If you really want it. Right, so this happened on, I believe, Wednesday last week. So it was right after the show was finished with the Cambros. So this is what Popovich... So the Clippers were playing the Spurs, and Popovich decided to take the mic at one point in time. This is what he said.
Excuse me for a second.
Pops on the mic.
Can we stop all the booing and let these guys play? It's got no class. It's not who we are. Knock off the booing.
All right, so they were booing the Clippers,
And they booed
especially Kawhi Leonard, and they booed Greg Popovich. So San Antonio has the right to boo Kawhi Leonard in perpetuity because he left them. Al, fact or cap?
It's a tough one. I'm going to go fact, but I'll tell you why it's tough for me. It's tough because he won you an NBA championship. 2 of them. Finals MVP, obviously he was such an integral part. Now, the only thing with the San Antonio Spurs is they had success before he even got there. This is where I guess I'm okay with the booing. I pay for my ticket. This just comes with the territory. I'm sitting here. I'm trying to have a good time. If I don't like the effort of my team, if there's something I don't like that I'm going to boo, that comes with the territory of sports. So I'm going to go fact. Now, if it was hypothetically, if this was a franchise that's never won before, like the Denver Nuggets have never won an NBA championship, I don't think you could boo Jokic moving forward because it's the only championship that you've ever had. In this situation, I still think at the end of the day, you paid for your ticket. Do whatever the hell you want.
Trev?
I forget the question exactly.
Spurs fans can boo Kawhi Leonard in perpetuity.
Fact. Look, Kawhi Leonard left under bizarre circumstances, and it was never really clearly explained what happened, whose fault it was.
Still don't know.
It's still weird, right? And because Kawhi is quiet and who he is, there probably never will be an explanation that's going to be satisfactory to San Antonio fans. As far as they know, he just got tired and he left and he went and he won somewhere else. Fans don't like. If Tim Duncan had played the first 16 years of his career somewhere and then left and won and came back, they're not booing Tim Duncan. They're not booing David Robinson. But because Kawhi is just a guy that
not booing Ginobili, Tony Parker.
He's unknowable. Nobody really knows much about him, so it's hard to have affection for him beyond his athletic accomplishments. And his athletic accomplishments were a long time ago, and people have hard feelings. That's just the way it goes.
Jorge?
I'm with Alan on this one. You're buying a ticket. You don't have control over what fans are going to do. You guys complain, or John and Michael complain about a guy who's smoking in there. Whether he's smoking or not, I mean, that's something else. But I've been to Dodger games where we're booing opposing teams, or I've been there where we're booing some of the players that come back. But as a fan, I'm not going to boo somebody, but I'm not going to stop the person next to me and tell him, hey, bro, that's messed up.
Yeah.
He came back, don't boo him. Like, I'm not going to do that. He bought his ticket for whatever price, market price, or $800 ticket, whatever he paid.
$34 a pound.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to stop anybody else from doing it.
I'm with you.
Do that either.
All right, so after Auburn lost that heartbreaker to Alabama, at the last second, they had a 99.9% chance of winning.
And didn't rush the quarterback for the final play.
What CBS obviously loved to do was do crowd shots. Get all the very upset, the crying people, the crying sorority girls as they had their arms around their sorority sisters, I'm assuming. So it's okay to cry when your team loses. Jorge, fact or cap?
I've done it. It's fine. It's perfectly fine. It's part of sports. When Mexico doesn't advance the World Cup, and
you mean every year?
Every year, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Every 4 years, Travis, get it right, fool. I spent $100 on a jersey that's not gonna make it into the next round or whatever. So
the fourth game.
It's happened. It's happened, and I've cried. Yeah.
Trev?
I have not cried. I don't quite have that level of investment in this, but it hurts, and I'm more angry and confused when it doesn't go my way than I am sad. I get pissed. I get like, I want somebody's head on a stick. Whoever decided to rush only 2 guys instead of the 3 or 4 that you're supposed to in that situation, I'd want to know what the hell that guy was thinking. I want to know who blanked it up as opposed to just the emotional moment of losing the game.
Al?
I'm fact on that too, and I fall much more in line with this. I fall much more in line of, I'll use Marlon McCree as an example,
there
right?
You go.
I wasn't going to cry that Marlon McCree decided to return it. I wanted to know, I was so angry at that specific player. I remember Lakers, they won 3 championships in a row with Kobe and Shaq. And then you just assumed, yeah, that's what they do. They're going to win every year. And Robert Horry took a shot, Lakers down 2 in San Antonio, and it was game 5, so it was a chance for Lakers to go up 3-2, and the shot went in and out. And the Lakers, first time, you're like, oh my God, they're not going to win a championship. And I had two buddies that were just hating. That's what they did. They hated the Lakers and they hated on me. I was so angry I was ready to fight. I was not emotional anger. I was a different type of anger.
Yeah, it's more infuriating than it is sad.
Mm-hmm.
Sad comes later for me, right? Like, I'm not sad in the moment. In fact, I'm a bit of a ghoul. Like, when seeing sad Auburn fan was tremendous fun. It was just really fun to watch that thing snatched out of there. Because I don't care if Alabama wins. I don't care if Auburn wins. I just want chaos, and that was about as chaotic as you're going to find.
What if Granite High School would have lost that game? And you were there. You went to the high school. Your buddy's the coach.
So I don't think I could just get in an emotional state to cry over that. Angry, pissed, disappointed, frustrated, all those emotions, but not that. You know what I mean?
That can't be right. We can't be doing the dump next, can we?
It is the dump.
Oh, my goodness. The dump,
Probably.
Slee. The dump. It's 11:45. The dump is coming up next. It's Travis Slee, 710 ESPN. Hey, if you get hurt in an accident, call Sweet James. 1-800-9-MILLION. 1-800-900-0000. Because that call is the difference between you getting what you're entitled to, what you deserve, justice, basically, or getting, if anything, what the insurance company is offering you. And they're not trying to do what's right. They're trying to do what's right for them, right? That's what Sweet James is going to make sure doesn't happen. They're going to work with the insurance company in the settlement phase and get you what you're entitled to. And if not, they're going to go to trial. And when they go to trial, they win 98% of the time. And those trials, that's where the big numbers come from. So if you're hurt in an accident, don't call just anybody. Don't call just somebody that does this. Call somebody that does this the best. And that's what Sweet James is. Best attorneys in America is what they've been awarded. 1-800-9-MILLION. You can go online at sweetjames.com as well. It's a call I've made. It's a call my friends and family have made. It's the call I'm asking you to make. If you're hurt in a car, truck, or motorcycle accident, call the accident attorneys at Sweet James at 1-800-9-MILLION and sweetjames.com.
Hey, it's Corporate Greg. for the dump.
Because it's a combo plate and because we're doing the dump at 11:51, I'm just going to throw in a late Ask Slee because I meant to do this in a different segment. I kept forgetting to do it, but it's too good of a question, and I want everybody's answer because I guarantee we all have answers for this. This is from John in Huntington Beach of Fullerton. What are some of your favorite chores to do to hide while extended family members are visiting?
I'm cleaning. So like hey, let me get your plate. Hey, can I get you something to drink? Hey,
yes.
Let me take the trash out real quick. It's like
Not real quick. You're going to have to reline it. You're going to have to take the trash to the street.
Yeah.
You're going to have to tamp it down.
For somebody not paying attention, they're saying, wow, this guy he's everywhere. He's doing so many things. He's extremely busy. Somebody who's paying attention is saying, this dude's just literally wasting time.
Do you have a go-to? Hey, I got to go do this to just disappear for 12 or 15 minutes?
Walk the dog.
Great
Or I'll go run to the store and get that.
Yeah.
Whatever the random thing is, the ice, the butter,
the
whatever you need.
That's number one on the list. Let me go get that for you and jump in the car. And
the grocery store was packed, guys. Sorry,
sometimes it takes 45 minutes to get a pound of butter. Sometimes it happens like that. Jorge, what about you?
Hey, the one going to the store, I like that one. I do that a lot. Or the one where you say, you know what, I got to go to such and such's house because I loan them like whatever it is that.
Yep.
It's not true, obviously, but it's like, oh, he's got my cookie sheet or whatever it is. I got to go pick it up.
My favorite is, you know what? I'm going to go make sure the drinks are cold and because we got the fridge in the garage, right? So you go out there and you basically just have a couple of beers standing in the garage until somebody comes looking for you and go, yep, just finished up.
My buddy works
There's nothing to do except for drink in the garage.
My buddy has he works at a restaurant. So I'm like, oh, I gotta go get ice from his ice machine. I'll be right back, and I spend half.
I changed the oil in everyone's car.
Anything but sit there and talk about what you don't want to talk about, right? The Dodgers have made a deal. They have signed a 1-year, $9 million deal with outfielder / designated hitter Jason Hayward. That, according to Kylie McDaniel, Hayward was another one of those guys that the Dodgers, kind of hit the jackpot with, that he was very inexpensive and he provided a good level of production. They bring him back, and I think perhaps most importantly, because he can play both corner outfield spots, it allows you to put Mookie at second base and at shortstop as frequently as you would like to. So you can put Hayward out there, you're not losing anything defensively, and he's still a pretty dangerous
You
bat.
said something earlier because we're having the conversation, hey, would this have any effect on this, that? And you said that, isn't that crazy that none of us still, at any time, we could be sitting here and in a minute, Shohei Ohtani can sign somewhere, and no one has any idea of where he's going to go. 5, 6, 7 different teams. Maybe there's a random team that comes up. Is it a long-term deal? Is it a short-term deal? Is it based off of him having an opt-out? We have no idea.
Nothing. And the other player that's Yamamoto, the other Japanese pitcher who is going to come somewhere, you wonder if Ohtani needs to go first or if Yamamoto goes first. Is that team off the list as far as getting Ohtani? Because maybe with the exception of the Dodgers, I don't know if anybody could afford Yamamoto and Ohtani. That just seems like, even for a team like the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Mets or one of those teams that super deep pockets, that's a lot. But Jason Hayward coming back, I like it. Low dollar, low risk, and potentially high reward.
It's a good spot for him.
It is a good spot.
Yeah.
He's another one of those guys they got for essentially nothing. We'll take. He was a non-roster invitee to spring training. He makes the team, and not just as like hey, we need an older guy that's a good character guy, been around, won the World Series, all these things. He played and played well.
Yeah.
And played frequently. And that's, Syndergaard, they missed badly on that, but Martinez was a hit. Hayward was a hit. They just land on those so frequently. That's part of their arrogance, is that why would I pay top dollar for Bryce Harper when I can go get bargain JD Martinez?
Well, and I think there's also players that they understand this stage of their career, being part of the Dodgers is good for them as well, right? Like, it's not just good for the Dodgers, it's also good for them.
Dolly Parton put on the Dallas Cowboy cheerleader outfit during her halftime performance, and I thought she looked great. I thought she did a great job.
Topic of conversation, let's just say.
Everywhere, right?
Yeah,
everybody had an opinion, and it was one or the other, right? There was it was okay. It was Dolly rocked it, or what in the world is Dolly doing? I thought she rocked it. What did you think?
I thought it was fantastic. I also think that her versus Jack Harlow was a stark difference, and Jack Harlow looked like the burglar from Home Alone, as well as my mom asked if that was Eminem. So I think Dolly was a solid choice for the other one.
I thought Dolly
You're on.
Yeah, I thought Dolly was fantastic. And by the way,
It doesn't work. Use the other one.
use the other.
Yeah,
I thought Dolly
that's
was
better.
fantastic.
Me too.
And by the way, 77 years old. Are you
Unbelievable.
kidding me? She could be a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader right
great.
now. It's
She looked-
amazing.
So you had Dolly, you had Jack Harlow, and you had Ludacris swinging in from the ceiling at the Falcons
And Steve
game
Aoki.
yesterday.
Yeah.
What's that, Em?
Stevie Aoki, I think, was the 49ers
Oh,
Seahawks.
okay.
But yes, Ludacris doing Move Out the Way.
Steve Aoki, you ready? Gaucho.
Really?
Oh, Gauchos.
Oh, I didn't
Another
know that.
Gaucho.
I didn't
He's got
know
a
that.
pizza joint in Burbank, I think.
I keep track. There's only like 10 of us that have accomplished anything, so I like to keep track of everybody.
Number
And
sounds
what's
You've
been
done
going.
great.
I'm like
Oh,
14th. I'm
no,
not on the
you're-
top 10.
You're way up the list.
I'm not.
Way up the list.
Judge Wapner, Gwyneth Paltrow. Steve
Juan.
Aoki, Juan. Yeah.
Yep.
Juan and I think we probably.
I know
went to
you
the same
probably
parties.
did. Yeah,
We
by
had-
the way,
we had
aren't you
similar interests?
Aren't you approximately the same age as Juan?
I don't even think. I think it's
He's
very.
49. What are you?
I'm 52.
Okay, so
Yeah.
he's a little younger than you.
A
But,
little younger than
but I'm sure you crossed paths somewhere
100% they did.
buying
Del
drugs or
Playa.
something.
Wasn't so much a drug guy in school, but if there was
He
a
was.
keg, Travis was not too far
He
behind.
tried everything.
All right, before we get to Supercross, let me tell you about Rolo Chevrolet, right? 13 years Dealer of the Year at Rolo Chevrolet. Think about it. Who wins MVP 13 years in a row? Nobody. Who wins the championship 13 years in a row? Nobody. Rolo Chevrolet does 13 years Dealer of the Year. Here's how they do it. They have selection like you're not going to believe. Every Silverado that you can possibly imagine. Model, color, they got you covered. Pricing, they're not going to get beat on pricing, but the customer service, second to none. That's what Mike Capozio does every single day, year after year after year, make you feel like you're the most important person when you come to Rolo Chevrolet, because to them, that's exactly what they are. It's transparent, it's courteous, it's efficient, it's upfront. You're going to love the way it goes for you at Rolo Chevrolet. How do I know? I bought a car from Rolo Chevrolet, and it's everything that you hear about. Go find out for yourself what all the fun is about at Rolo Chevrolet, right off the 210 freeway, Sierra Avenue exit. You can go online as well at rotolochevy.com. That's ROTOLO, rotolochevy.com, and tell them that Travis sent you. And now that I've talked to you about Rolo Chevrolet, we should do a little super crosstalk.
ESPN AM 710 Los Angeles. KRDC AM 1110 Pasadena, Los Angeles.
K256CX 99.1 FM Pasadena, Los Angeles.
It's the greatest segment in LA sports radio history.
Oh my God. When the shows come together for magic on the radio.
It will only grow stronger. Super Crosstalk.
Are we ready for Mason and Ireland to join Travis and Slee?
Super Crosstalk begins. Super Crosstalk presented by In-N-Out Burger. In-N-Out. That's what a hamburger is all about.
It's time for Super Crosstalk.
So Slee and I broke down our respective Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Emily went back to Virginia and had a successful Thanksgiving
Very
with her
nice.
family.
Very
Jorge's
nice.
was
It was
bit of a
great.
dud.
There
It was
was
fine.
just
Jorge,
one
what
thing
happened?
missing.
Everything was cool except that we didn't have gravy.
What the
Didn't have
hell?
gravy.
You
That's
don't
what I
gravy for
said.
Thanksgiving.
the point of Thanksgiving.
That's the whole thing, man. How
why-
did you wind up with no gravy?
My mom decided not to buy any or make any, so she's like, yeah,
You
no
take
gravy.
all that
juice.
greasy stuff at
Yes.
the bottom
Use the
and you
juice
mix
of
it
the
with some, what is it,
turkey.
corn?
Yeah.
Roux.
Remit?
So it's butter, flour, or water and flour, and you mix it together, and that's what makes it come together.
Yeah, make some
guys.
friggin'
So-
roux.
so my
Guys,
plan-
don't get mad at him. It wasn't his choice.
My plan was to call out. I'm like, oh, if anything, I'll call out because I got sick from the gravy. I'm like, wait,
Oh,
Mom, you didn't make no gravy.
How was yours?
It was good. It was good. We
Went to the restaurant,
Juan's,
right?
Yeah, Juan's family was in town, and we went to a Prix Fix, which is where all the courses are laid out.
Prefix.
Oh, prefix. Sorry. Well, it's spelled Prix Fix.
I understand how it's spelled.
So anyway, we go there, and it was much more expensive than I had anticipated.
Oh, okay. Were
And-
you picking up the tab for this?
Tried
Was it market
like
price?
crazy. I have very long arms.
Was it a fight?
Okay.
It was a fight over who pays.
Okay.
And in the end,
Yeah.
we wound up losing.
Oh.
He was just insistent, Juan's parents, and
Okay.
they were insistent that they
Okay.
pay. So in the end, it was a really good deal, but I felt bad that it was
I have a
expensive
question.
and that
I have a
they
question
paid.
on that because I think how bad did you want to pay?
Super bad. What are you making that face for?
Here's
you think
why.
maybe I backed away?
Here's why.
You think I
Alligator arm.
Do you think I T-Rexed it?
No. Here's why. Because anytime you're in a predicament like that,
Yes.
you can't wait for the bill to come.
You mean you've got to go back?
You got to do the.
He waited.
If you wanted,
yeah.
If you said, look, there is no conversation here.
Yeah.
I'm paying for this freaking bill.
Right.
You go use the restroom when you wherever you go to the whoever your server is, and just say, hey, they're gonna fight. They're gonna try to make a scene. You're using this credit card, and the conversation is over.
Good plan.
If you got to the point where it's coming in the middle, that then becomes kind of an awkward, chaotic scene of
right. But I was like, okay, let's split. And they were like, no, we're picking up this tab. I'm like, mad about it. I should. If I knew they were paying, I would have picked a less expensive place.
Oh well, or did you go big on wine too?
I'm not a big. I had a mixed drink, but everybody else drank a lot of wine.
Okay,
yeah.
That's
it got
really
pretty
where
heavy.
It got
pricey.
Serious bill.
Yeah. So all right, we're just the four of you.
Just the four of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the four of you are at dinner. The little tray with the bill comes. The little envelope.
Yeah.
They set it on the table. Do you immediately go for it?
I went for it.
Where'd they put it?
He's so quick.
He's quicker.
His stepdad is so quick.
So he got his hands on it
lightning
first.
fast.
Okay, so he goes.
Got De'Aaron Fox out there.
Does he call you Mace or does he call you Steve?
He calls me Steve.
Okay, so he says, Steve, this one's on me. I really want to do it.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, Richard, at least let us pay. We invited you. Let us pay.
I appreciate that's nice, but I really would like to do
Yeah,
this
okay,
for
let's
you.
go halves. We'll pay for you pay for yours. We'll just split it down the middle.
If that's what you did, then he did the right thing.
That's
you
the way I
made
played
two
it.
runs at it. You
Yep.
tried to take the whole thing. You tried to split it. At that point, you can just drink your wine.
Plus,
and do
at one
everything.
point, I wing the credit card in his direction, hoping that would get his attention. It's like zing, wouldn't do it.
He just
Wouldn't
has
do
an
it.
envelope of cash. He's just don't.
But it was a fantastic meal.
That's good.
I bet.
You had choice of entrees. You could either get the turkey, which I got, the prime rib, or sand dabs because it was a seafood restaurant. And then with the sand dabs and everything, you got the dressing and the stuffing and the sweet potato and the mashed potatoes, and so you got to pick your entree. Fantastic,
That sounds
fantastic.
great.
And then I don't know if you appreciate this or not. You probably will, Travis. Mascarpone cheesecake.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Do you ever have mascarpone?
No, I don't think I have.
Oh, it's like that
Real deal.
really
It's a sweet
thick,
Italian cheese.
Oh.
It's very thick, and it's used to bind things together. It's
so good.
It's terrific.
I'm
sounds
thinking, I'm
amazing.
like, my mouth is watering. That's so good.
really good.
So anyway, we
Is there
did
any
that.
fruit on top of that cheesecake?
Little
Raspberry
red,
drizzle?
little raspberry.
Yeah,
exactly. It was
that's
red.
right.
Yeah,
You were in the right spot.
Oh yeah, no, it was good. It was
You
good.
win. You win.
So it was a great Thanksgiving.
It's great.
You guys good?
Yeah, I mean, we had 20 people to my house.
Which is crazy.
And
to
he
me.
was working. Basically working
like I
Wednesday and
said-
Thursday to prepare for Thanksgiving.
Well, my mom came in,
Yeah.
and my mom did 80% of the work. So I was her sous chef. I was just
Right.
kind of her assistant, but we knocked it out. It was pretty good. We had
See,
a very successful day.
I sort of miss that whole wake up in the morning, smell the turkey, like all the
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
that you do on Thanksgiving. I missed a lot of that. Because it reminds me of when I used to go see my grandparents, and
Of course,
my
100%,
grandmother
yeah.
would make a turkey, and my grandfather would slice it up.
Awesome memories.
Yeah, great memories. But nobody wants to make the turkey anymore.
It's not.
My mom's like 82. She's like, I'm done with that.
Here's the thing, and it's not as hard. Like I did it with my mother,
Yeah.
right? And she's like, well, here, salt and pepper, a little oil here, right here, right, pop it, and then you just baste it every few minutes.
You're saying it's easy?
It's not easy. It's time consuming,
Yes.
but it's not difficult.
What if you guys just buy the turkey? You get places that will prepare
You mean
the
like
turkey.
you go there and you get the turkey partially done and all the sides and do that thing?
But
Because
you
they
could
have
still-
that deal.
You could still do
Gelson's
it.
does that.
You could still do it at home. You guys can make all the sides, but if nobody wants to just make the turkey, you can find a place that will make the turkey.
By the way, Gelson's is a racket.
Oh yeah,
That place is a racket. I mean,
pretty nice store.
No, they're really nice stores, but man, you're paying for their
Oh, yeah.
real estate, man.
Oh, yeah.
They are expensive. They're like, aren't they second to Erewhon? Would they be second to Erewhon? Are they?
Yeah.
Are
You think
they
Gelson's?
ahead?
Huh?
You think Gelson's?
Yeah, Gelson's. You're getting
After one?
tagged at a Gelson's.
Gelson's more or less expensive than Bristol Farms?
Same. I would
Same.
say they're on the same level.
Gelson's actually has a cover charge. There's a cover charge
they
to
do
pay.
have
You got
a
to pay
cover
for
charge.
parking.
Here's how you know they're at the shopping carts are nice.
Yeah,
like
they are.
ride. They don't have that one wheel that spins.
No, you don't have the
they
bum
have
wheel.
Cruise control. Power brakes.
There's
Yeah.
a
whole thing.
technician just fixing carts out there, just
Yeah.
making sure. What's wrong with that
Got it
wheel?
on the lift. He's underneath the whole thing. So Mace, here, take me through this.
Yes.
Take me through where you are. Let me tell you where I am.
Okay.
I am.
Oh, is this Rams?
It is.
Oh, good. In the hunt.
Very much in the hunt.
Yes.
Very much in the hunt. And I really do think if they win on Sunday against Cleveland, I think they make the playoffs.
Me too.
Because they need to beat New Orleans, Washington, and the Giants at that point. You don't have to beat the Ravens. You don't have to beat the 49ers. If you beat Cleveland and then beat New Orleans, Washington, and the Giants,
you're at 9 wins.
That's at 9 wins, and I think 9 wins.
9
gets
is
it
in.
done.
9 is in.
Or is Arizona just that bad?
Well, Arizona's terrible.
They are
By the
bad.
way, for whatever
They're
reason, the Rams wreck Arizona every single
They won
time.
9 in a row in Arizona.
He is 10-2 against Arizona so far in his career. And Kyler Murray has been terrible against the Rams every single game. The Rams obviously played a great game. And Bergman is going to point out, they only beat teams in their division, but they also beat Indianapolis, which is now looking like a playoff
their
team.
Only win out of division.
Out of division. But Indy is
It's a good
6-5. They're pretty good.
Yep.
And I think if you look at that schedule, I can definitely see a path. And I think they are going to make. And Cleveland looks very beatable to me with their quarterback situation.
The thing that scares me, and Al pointed this out, is I think they'll beat. Miles Garrett is banged up. DTR is banged up. Amari Cooper's banged up.
Is DTR going to play? He had a concussion.
He
we
got
don't know.
absolutely annihilated yesterday. Did. But it's those 3 games that it's the New Orleans, it's Washington, and it's New York. To have to run the Rams aren't good enough to just put, they're going to win that one for sure.
Right.
Everyone
is going to be really tough.
And I see them stubbing their toe in one of those.
There's a story. There's a story with every Rams game. You could say Geno Smith doesn't get hurt. They're not beating Seattle. You could say, Arizona's just awful. However, they're in the mix.
Yeah.
You're 11 games in. They are, and it's funny when you see that in the hunt. Where
They're
are
not
you
even
also?
At the bottom.
Where I was just going to say,
they're
also
in the
middle.
Right.
Where also are you in the hunt?
Right.
Are you at the bottom or are you up top? And they're towards
and
the top.
now we know what teams to root against. Like
Minnesota
tonight.
Yep.
We want Minnesota to lose. Any game that we can get Green Bay to lose is critical.
They play Kansas City on
There
Sunday.
you go.
Because
we lose the tiebreaker to Green Bay.
We do.
But we win the tiebreaker with Seattle.
We do. Cappy, are you there? I thought we had no Cappy.
Well, I thought we had Cappy too.
No, that's all right. He's coming out.
I wanted to see
By the way, here you guys benefit from the combo plate, right?
This is our first combo plate.
And this week you get a couple of combo plates.
We get one Wednesday as well.
Nice.
We get one Wednesday as
nice.
well.
So you get that.
Very
combo
fast
plate
show.
is to get everybody on. You know what I'm saying? You get everybody. And by the way, this is a huge week. First of all, today's $1 Million Monday.
Yep.
And on top of that, we are doing Fifth Row Fridays this week.
Wow.
Which means that everything we say on today's show, tomorrow, and through the rest of the week, if you know all 5 answers when we do this Friday at 3:30, check that. It's going to be 2:30. You can win a pair of tickets in the 5th row at a Lakers game.
So I'm just saying that if I'm a Mason and Ireland listener, you might want to know that the 3 options at your Thanksgiving were turkey, sand dabs, or prime rib.
Exactly.
Those are the sorts of things that you need to pay
question.
attention to.
Exactly.
Who did Juan have in the survivor pool?
Same as you, man. Had Baltimore.
Okay, no, I didn't have Baltimore.
Oh, who'd you have?
No, I'm tonight,
He has the
Minnesota.
Vikings.
Oh, you have Minnesota.
There's 3 people that have Minnesota.
Oh, no, they won last night.
Yeah,
Baltimore's
alive. We've advanced, or he has advanced.
If
alternate picks.
No, he's advanced. He's advanced. He's making the picks. He's got the final pick. It's his name on the entry.
One person is out from this week, so now you're down to 7 players. If Minnesota loses tonight to Chicago, that's 3 more people gone. So Juan is
Juan a split the pot sort of guy, or is he all?
He's
in?
a split.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not going to push it. By the way, the games get really tough at this point. You've used all the good teams.
Yeah, you're going to have to take a.
It's going to be a Rams.
Like we thought about taking the Rams this week. The Rams would have been a great pick this week
against Arizona for sure. Cappy, are you there this time?
There he is. He's here.
How was Thanksgiving, Cap?
Oh man, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Probably the best Thanksgiving I can ever remember.
Really?
Seriously?
Yes, sir.
Better than Jorge's, which was gravyless?
No gravy, huh?
No. Jorge
no
got
gravy
shut
for
out
Jorge.
gravy.
Why is that?
His mom just decided not to make it.
She refused.
She's something against the Gravy Corporation.
She's anti-gravy.
She's
anti-big gravy. Yeah,
really.
Right.
You know, Mace, I'm pro big gravy.
Are you pro big gravy?
You know that I am.
You are. You're all the big guys. You're in favor of.
I'm
big
in favor
oil,
of big gravy,
big pharma,
big mayo,
big gravy.
What made it so good, Cappy? Why was it such a home run?
You know what? Thanks for asking, Trav. To be honest, it was because my son came home from college, my two daughters came home from college, and my father and my mother came out from Florida.
Charlie came out.
Cappy's Pappy.
Because my dad, I don't know if I told you guys, my dad had this weird thing about 2 months ago where he's playing pickleball, Mace.
Yep.
And he had some sort of heart condition happen from out of nowhere.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Right. And spent like a week in the hospital. And the way my father tells the story, he's a little bit dramatic. He's like, the doctors said to me, I was about 5 minutes away from being dead.
Wow.
Had I not come to the emergency room, I'd be dead right now. In fact, my dad's comment was, I almost bit the big one. That's what he told me.
Almost bit the big one.
Isn't it bite the bullet?
I don't know, man. He told me because I almost bit the big one.
Bit the dust.
Yeah.
Bit the dust,
Right.
bite the bullet.
Bite the bullet.
Bite the big one is
Bite the
something
big
else.
one is
It's a different
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Morales would have a field day.
He told me, he goes, I almost bit the big one. So
Yep.
so I forced my parents to fly out from Florida.
Very nice.
That's
I
nice.
forced
Very
all
nice.
my kids to come home from college.
Yeah.
And we did, for the first time ever, like a full-blown, I hosted, I've never hosted really before, full-blown Thanksgiving.
Wow.
That sounds
Good
great.
for you.
That's awesome, man. Well, we'll definitely talk about it. So a combo play today. So it's Cappy, you and me until 2:30, I think,
2:30.
today, right?
We never really know the schedule. Like, we all act like we do, but we don't.
I write it all out and then I forget it. I write, and then Bergman sends me a link and says it's all here all along, and it turns out to be all there all along.
Travis Lee, you guys, though, had good Thanksgivings. I just wanted, Trav, I heard about Mom was here.
Yeah, mom was a rock star. She did the vast majority of it. We hosted it at my house. We had about 20 folks.
Wow.
And everybody had a good time, and everybody ate a ton. And so it was. I don't know if it's the best Thanksgiving ever, like yours, but it was right up there.
Nice.
It was a very, very successful day.
Slee, were you with Mrs. Slee?
Cappy, I was in El Cajon and
nice.
doing the beautiful El Cajon half Thanksgiving, half Middle Eastern.
Right. So this is
everybody
the
is
Chaldean
kinda,
version of Thanksgiving dinner?
which I gotta say, it's going more towards a regular Thanksgiving.
Oh, really?
So I gotta.
So, like,
I think
what
we
were
gotta
the-
take a step
Don't
back.
let
What
that
were the
beef
middle-
No,
and
I was gonna
potato
say, I
thing
think we
go.
have to-
That thing
What were
sounds
the Middle
amazing.
Eastern foods that mixed in with turkey dinner?
So there's a white rice and a yellow rice.
Okay.
And then there's this really, really good curry style soup that has chunks of beef in it, potatoes that goes on the rice.
Does that have a name?
Kadi.
Kadi.
Kadi is what it's called.
Okay.
So that is that's part of the mix. And then everything else there, more desserts are more Middle Eastern.
Yeah,
Some of the
so
baklava,
Oh, God.
stuff like
Baklava's
that.
so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
So
What'd
good.
you have for dessert, Cappy?
This is like perfect. This is, I said my mother's going to go back to Boca del Vista Phase 4 and go, so, darling, did you have the Costco pumpkin pie?
The Costco pumpkin pie is unbelievable.
The Costco pumpkin pie
Feeds
is
40.
my son, he's doing very well. He works for ESPN in Los Angeles, I'll have you know. My son's doing very well. We got the Costco pie.
I love that.
That's
determinate.
And then just lets it sit there, right?
Because the
Just hang
Costco
in the
pie
air.
is about 2 feet diameter.
It's the
I would
size
say.
of an
Huge.
extra large pizza.
2
Yeah,
feet. It really is. It's
Yeah,
like an
that's-
extra large pizza. And it's not expensive either. It's like
Costco.
not.
Nothing's
Yeah,
expensive at
it's like
Costco.
I've never been to Costco.
That's right.
I've
You've
never been. I'm not a member.
See what you're
Oh,
missing?
my God,
I
it's the
need
best.
I need to know somebody to get into Costco, right?
Let me know. I will take you on a Costco date. We will go have a wonderful
Dude, we'll get
time.
gas. We'll get our car washed.
Buy coffins.
Samples? Will there be samples involved?
All
Buy a heating and
Samples?
AC unit, then go and get a
coffin.
Cheez-Its.
A coffin.
You can buy coffins.
Oh,
you can.
no,
Trav,
you can't.
You
Trav, there's
100% can.
Wait a minute. You can buy a coffin at Costco?
Coffins, you
Yes.
could buy coffee.
What aisle is that?
It's at right. I know the answer. It's as you're checking out. It's where the washers, dryers, and all the heavy appliances are.
Yeah.
And the coffin
Washers,
display.
dryers,
Yep.
and
Wi-
coffins?
window blinds
Right.
and coffins.
There's an actual coffin display?
Yes. They're mini
I don't know
coffins.
if I knew
They're
that.
not full size.
I don't know
What do
if
you
I
mean they're
knew
mini?
that.
Well, who's going to fit in a mini coffin?
No, but it's just a display coffin.
Oh, so it's like
yeah.
you can
You don't
get
just
this
fold
full
the person
size.
in half.
Yeah. No, you
Yeah,
get
you
a full
fold them in
size
half.
coffin, but they don't have like a lineup of coffins.
it.
It's here are
You
the
can
different
sample the
finishes.
coffins.
Yeah, I'm
you
here
can
for the
sit in
pumpkin
it
pie
for
and a
little-
coffin, please.
Trav, you got to take Mace to the Costco in San Juan Cap, the one that's got the really
yeah.
great car wash.
That does have a good car wash. I'm a regular visitor.
$7.99.
That's
$7.99?
and it's a good car wash.
Oh, wow.
It's a
That's
good car
cool.
wash. Super Crosstalks brought to you by In-N-Out Burger.